Hello everybody, welcome into Ghost Racing Network here live for the regular season opener in the Manny Rays NOMA Truck Series. Getting ready to get down trackside for all the action, but before we get started, we got to get the call from up above to get this race going. Here we go with your race info, or your race command rather.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, we got the call to get the boys fired up, getting ready for 250 miles here tonight. Let's get right down and get to it with your starting grid. Randy Bonomi is going to take the pole for the first race of the season. Saw him with some fast times in practice, and he is going to carry on right from where he left off in practice. Kenneth Redinger starts in second, Jay Stinson in third. Joey Hickok's going to be starting to the outside of his teammate in fourth. Matthew Fritz and Haas Beverly going to be making up row three. John O'Lynch in seventh with Billy Davison to his outside in eighth. James Scamordella in ninth. And rounding out your top 10 is going to be William George in the 96 truck. Robert E. Morrison starts 11th. Keith Prince to his outside in 12th. Moving on back to the field, row 7 is going to be Christopher Bonomi and Alex Gray. Jeff Carl in 15th, John Bell to his outside in 16th. Going to be Matthew Dyer in 17th, Grant Turner 18th. Richard Hurst starts 19th, and rounding out your top 20 is going to be Zach Stevens. Chase Greer starts 21st, Mark Beverly in 22nd. Row 12 is going to be Ronnie Morrison and Ryan Gomes. Row 13, Blaze Richardson, David Traylor. Robert Dudley starts 27th, Sam Boutwell 28th, Albert Hewins at 29th, Treston Fortson in 30th, Justin Parham 31st with Russ Kilgore in 32nd, and rounding us out for a 33 truck field is going to be Guy Bracco in the 69 truck. Looking at your race info here tonight, we're going to break down for you. It is the Manny Rays 250 here at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. So the race is going to be 100 laps here tonight, the NOMA Truck Series. Everybody's going to have 70% fuel, 6 tire sets. Of course, that one crucial fast pair fixed setups, one green-white checkered, a little bit of a change here this season as well. And stage breaks are going to fall on lap 20 and 50. So it's kind of going to make it 3 races, one big race. At the end, the 50 lapper is going to be the one that's going to pay. The pay window is going to be open, if you will, the last 25 laps or so. Track temp tonight under 100 degrees. Winds nice and calm at 2 miles an hour. Partly cloudy skies. Weather should not be an issue at all for any of these guys. Trucks should be handling good, and that means that we should see a good race. A lot of 2 wide early, maybe a little single file at some points, but ultimately, to decide the winner of this thing, we are going to see 3 wide throughout most of the field at the end. Here we go. The NOMA Series opener is underway here at Daytona. Randy Bonomi takes him around to lead lap 1, and he has got 2 of his teammates lined behind him. Hickok's racing with a great start, got the top 3 covered up right now. Kenneth Redinger is trying to make something happen on the outside. Can't quite get any help just yet. Now the 12 truck, the 90 for Spino Racing. John Lynch, he's going to jump right up to the top. One of the drivers carrying an onboard cam for us tonight. Take a look at the steady hands here as he works down in the draft. Leading, you got to hold a much steadier wheel than you can behind, because he knows he's got guys following him. And if he wants to get that push to the front, he has got to be as straight as an arrow. Kenneth Redinger not going to shy away from contact here out of 4. He's going to give him a nice little shove. But side by side, working our way down the short chute into the tribal here on lap 2. And already you can tell certain guys wanted a little bit more than others. John Lynch, one of those guys, making sure he can get up front and try to lead every lap he can here tonight. And we talked about Hickok's Racing having the first 3 rows swept. Let's go ahead and just make it 4 now. Joey Hickok's in the 3 truck. He's going to tag right along. Jay Stinson still the lead pusher to his teammate in the outside line. They continue to try to generate some momentum, get something going. Not too much just yet. And are we going to see a little 3 wide here? We are. I thought this would wait a little bit longer, but it is not going to. That looks like Richard Hurst. Sure enough, it is the 76 truck, another one of our drivers carrying the onboard camp tonight. He's trying to go 3 wide. Doesn't look like he's getting any help right now, but he's going to try to make it work. Daytona, not quite as wide as what we're used to seeing at a track like Talladega, so you really got to hold a lot better of a line, especially when you're running that 3rd lane. You're trying not to tag the outside wall, but at the same time, you got to stay as close as possible to get a side draft. And it looks like now he's going to get help. A couple takers right here. It looks like Grant Turner is one of them. And sure enough, we're going to have another truck that's going to jump up here. I think that was Christopher Bonomi. Sure enough, it looks like it is. Richard found a spot to jump in line, so that move overall was very effective as he picked himself up a couple of spots before he had to jump right back down in the outside line. Now, the fuel situation is what's probably going to make this race a little bit interesting for these guys. You know, it's 70% fuel. Obviously, we know there's going to be a few, maybe a handful of green flag pit stops involved. And the strategy in that's what starts to play a question. I would say these guys can probably go somewhere around 20, maybe a little bit more laps on fuel. So we could very well see a 3-stop for this race. And, of course, it's Daytona, so we're probably going to see the big one at some point. A couple cautions to throw some things, throw some extra factors into the strategy mix, if you will. And who knows, we could see that crucial 1 green light checker later. And if it gets down to that point, track position is going to be key, and you are going to want to be leading this race. John Lynch now leading the way. He found a way to drop to the inside. That leaves Kenneth up top. He's getting help from Haas Beverly right now. And we got a couple of new teams this season, a couple of remaining teams. Hickox Racing, of course, one of the returning teams. No surprise there. Asphalt Outlaw Racing, one of the newer teams. Here's Keith Prince. He's running inside the top 10 right now, the 03. We saw him last week in the race just before the clash. Had a good run going just about up until the end. Alex Gray on Wally. This is another one of the new teams. He's having a good run right now. Finds himself as the last truck inside the top 10. No surprise to see Joey Hickox lined up with all his teammates. And right now, they would really like for that 90 truck to jump back up to the top lines. But you better believe John Lynch has no plans about it right now. Now, we've talked about 3 wide. We talked a little bit about teams, but tagging on a little bit more to the teamwork. We're at a super speedway. A lot of these guys run in the super speedway series. They know how to get the job done, but when you have teammates at tracks like these, it helps you out a ton. And Hickox Racing, having all those teammates, if they can keep the teammates they got there towards the end of this race, it's going to give them a huge advantage to not only get one of their drivers in victory lane, but to have a great finish and get the owner and team points going early off to start the season. The rest of the field still sitting pretty much 2x2 for the most part now. It doesn't look anybody else has gotten courageous enough yet to try 3 wide. Talking a little bit to Joey before the race, and I think Joey's going to like to see these guys call him. Looks like Guy Bracco. Not sure if he had an issue or what here. He finds himself in the back of the pack right now by himself, so not even in the pack. He's just working his way off turn 4, as you see on your track map there. In front of him is Matthew Dyer, who is also pretty far off pace with Jeff Carl. These two drafting by themselves. You got to wonder if this is a couple guys that maybe missed the start. They're going to need a caution. And the last car that is being scored on the track right now is going to be Russ Kilgore in the 4 truck. And he is last. He is just sitting back. I think he's playing it safe along with a couple of these other guys. Justin Parham, there's the 55 of Albert Hewins. He's one of the new additions to Hickox Racing this year, and I'm really excited about seeing this guy over here. We know how good Hickox Racing was last year, the amount of drivers they got into the playoffs, and even into the Final Four. So we will see how this helps Albert Hewins' season, building off whatever momentum he had from last season. David Trailer, Chase Greer. We saw Zach Stevens, who runs just a couple spots ahead of him. Those two teammates, of course. And Zach had a great run, not only in the Clash, but in the LCQ last week, of course, getting the win and then the podium in the Clash. Got to keep my eye on him. Same track. The only difference is we got a couple more trucks, and it's a bigger race, so you know all these guys want it a little bit more. Up front now, Kenneth found a way to jump to the bottom. That's going to allow Haas Beverly to start to lead the line up top. He drags everyone around. Normally in the next gens, we would actually see that top line become favored as the run went on. You kind of try to drag the rest of the field up to that top line and rip it for a little while, but the bottom here at Daytona can be favored. The track temp is nice and cool, so I do think that's just going to help the bottom stay stronger for that much longer. A lot of times if we see the hot track temp, guys start slipping and sliding. That's where they start to struggle, and the top can really prevail. But so far, the bottom has been able to hang even, maybe just a little bit stronger. But when we start to see guys do a little bit more pushing, the 96 of William George, he might have to do some of that pushing right here to the 12 truck. That's where we're really going to see which line has the advantage and can carry more momentum. In the Truck Series, you can push in the corner with this newer draft package that we see in the Truck Series. The question just becomes who's willing to risk it and how soon you want to do it. You got to be perfectly square when you make that bump. If you're not, that's where things can start to run into trouble and accidents can occur. Still double file throughout the entire front pack. 9 laps in, coming to complete lap 10, only 1/10 of the way through this race, but about halfway to that first green flag pit stop. And if we do get some green flag stops, that would certainly break some things up as well and make some strategy interesting. Let's take a look at the speeds that these guys are running around Daytona here. These speeds will pick up a little bit as the day progresses, and these guys continue to start to push more and more aggressively. But let's look. You see the time of day right now. It is going through. We're about 5 o'clock, almost 6 in sim time, so the track temp might cool down a little bit. Speeds might pick up that much more, but about 190 as they enter turn 3, working their way through the turns. They're going to get down to about mid, maybe low 180s. And all while trying to hold a straight wheel and push the guy in front of you. Ooh, big snake in line off of turn 4 for the outside. That is just guys trying to follow each other, getting caught in the wake. And let me show you what I'm talking about when I talk about that big snake. I like to call it a snake line, but it's just when everybody kind of follows the truck in front of them and you just can't see anything. And if we look on the cockpit view here, let's ride on board here with Keith Prince. He sits about 5th on the outside line, and he's following Richard Hurst's line. He cannot see anything in front of him, so he is relying that Richard and all the trucks in front of Richard are holding a pretty steady line so that he can stay nice and tight and keep that line making progress, because when he has to fade back like this, the momentum starts to drop for the outside, and that's when the inside can prevail. But the 90 of John Lynch, he is looking like he really wants it right now. He is out there pushing Kenneth, last season champion, and he knows that he has got the confidence to get it done here again this season. And when you're sitting behind the champion, what better way to show him some respect than push him? Kenneth, look at the wheel. Doesn't even look like it's moving. He's got a little bit of an offset to the left, and down in the corner here, he's got to work it, tries to hug the yellow line without touching it. You touch that yellow line, you can get yourself in trouble in a hurry. That is not a smooth transition here at Daytona. And that's going to make these pit stops a little bit trickier as well. When we talk about Talladega, getting on pit road's a little tricky. Getting out, not too bad. Of course, the apron is banked, similar banking to what we see in the corners. So everybody is able to full throttle all the way up to turn 2 where they can blend. Daytona, that's not the case. You can see that the apron is flat, so all these drivers, when they come down the pits, they got to be careful. But then when they're exiting, you don't want to get a little bit too much speed and get above that yellow line when you're working your way around 1 and 2 to get back on the track, because if you get even just 2 tires above those yellow lines on the pits, when you're exiting the pits, you will get a penalty. You'll have to come in and serve it, and your night could be over here really, really early. So Kenneth Redinger and John Lynch for Spino Racing continue to lead the way here on the bottom. William George on the outside, and they are coming up on the lap truck now of Guy Bracco. This is going to make him the lucky dog. You know he doesn't want to go a lap down, but he's hoping maybe they can get a caution here and that he can avoid it. He's going to move up to the top line. These guys are all going to go around him 3 wide for the first time here tonight. Guy holds a nice steady wheel. Look at the field just work through smooth as butter. Nobody having any issues right now. And if you're towards the back of this pack, I think you feel pretty comfortable right now as well. Sometimes when we see the super speedway races, guys towards the back of the pack, they'll back off a little bit more if they don't feel comfortable. They'll try to play it safe, not get themselves in any trouble, especially not a wreck. But everybody looks really calm in the front 5 rows or so, so the back feels encouraged enough to stay nice and close, nice and tight. And that's going to be important when we come to pit stops. You want to be as close to the leader as you can. You don't want to lose any time because you have to be in one of the lead drafts coming off of pit road. Otherwise, you are going to run into some trouble. The outside's got some momentum, but eventually everybody is going to have to start to shuffle down to the bottom. And how do you go about that? If you're the 96 of William George, you maybe try to make a push to get Haas Beverly out to the lead. If you're Richard Hurst or a little bit further back, Keith Prince, you got to think about maybe looking for a spot on the inside line. And if you are everybody on the inside line, I think you got to be thinking, guys, let's stay nice and tight together. Let's make this outside line fall all the way to the back. 15 laps completed in the Manny Rays 250 here, season opener for the NOMA Truck Series. We already got some people out. NOMA TV says, let's do this. Nancy Hickox, good evening, race fans. Looking for a fun-filled night at Daytona, and it has been so far. Raymond Daniels Sr., the Manny Rays crew, says, Manny Rays Mafia watching tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope everybody is enjoying your Saturday so far. With a 90 of John Lynch, he's just not scared of pushing. Him and Kenneth have really been locking on good. Kenneth is looking for a couple of his teammates. Justin Parham, of course, was running towards the back of this pack, and then Matthew Dyer was one of those trucks that was not in the main pack at all. In fact, he was pretty far back, just running with Jeff Carl. And if we look at the track map, yeah, you can see those two just now working their way out of turn 2. They still have, I would say, just under half a track advantage over this lead pack, but they could be in danger of going a lap down as well, probably sometime after this first pit stop if they don't catch a caution. So either way, the point proven here is that Kenneth Rittinger, he's been kind of doing it by himself, and when you're doing it by yourself, the best thing you can get is somebody that really seems to know what they're doing and has a lot of confidence behind you. And like I said, Kenneth's truck looked very stable, so you got to assume that he's happy with the pushing that John Lynch is doing right now. And he is pushing him through the corner a little bit. Let's ride on the nose cam here. John Lynch, he's going to back it off a little bit this time and then gets right back on the bumper. Truck's very stable through the corners with this new package. However, if you get offset, that's where you can really run into trouble. But so far, so good. Pit stops going to be coming up here in probably 4, I'd say the window opens here, maybe 4 laps. We might see guys go 2 to 3 more past that. She can only go so long. Everybody's going to have to make a decision. Grant Turner currently finds himself running in 13th position. He is another one of our drivers running an onboard cam here tonight. And interesting enough, it looks like he might be running. Yeah, sure enough, he's running a Porsche wheel, which is it's nothing like the stock car wheels. It's almost like if you ever driven one of the faster go-karts. I forgot what they call it. Basically like a GT wheel, if you will. And you can see it there. It's not round at all. I got to think that feels pretty different. Grant Turner, though, the driver out of Akron, Ohio, having a pretty good run so far here tonight. He'd like to find himself up a couple more positions to break inside the top 10. But so far, so good. Of all the driver cams that we have seen so far tonight, Richard Hurst, I don't know how this guy does it. I mean, I just could not picture doing a VR while driving in this. It would just confuse the heck out of me if I turned. But Richard Hurst, he makes it work, and we saw him, I would say, about halfway through last season on out, but he's just been getting better and better since, and he's off to a great start this season. Here we go. We're going to see a little 3-wide action right here. How long can this go? Just as I thought guys were getting ready to maybe single file out, we got one truck clawing his way through the field. Trying to figure out who it is working their way on the outside. That's the 13 truck, Mark Beverly. And he doesn't have much help, but he is still making it work for now. I don't know how long it's going to work, but that is another one of the Asphalt Outlaw Racing drivers. Oh, John Lynch gets turned. Down into the grass goes Randy Bonomi. Joey Hickox. Looks like he was also involved, and we're still wrecking up here in the trial. This was a secondary incident. Those guys all able to hold on to it for the most part here. Albert Hewins, oh man, we still got a mess here in the trial. But Randy Bonomi, Joey Hickox, a couple of the first trucks that spun in that incident. Looks like Randy was able to get it refired and back rolling again, but let's take a look. First caution here of the night comes at a little bit of an interesting time, as it was just about to be our first green flag stops of the night, but you can scratch that. Everybody's going to come down here and top off on fuel. And this looks like maybe just a little bit of a stack up. Does not take much. We're going to pause it right here so we can take a little bit of a different angle from it. Let's try the chopper cam here to start. Watch the outside line. I think they're going to kind of shuffle down here. Ooh, yeah, sure enough. William George in second. Just kind of creeps down the track. Not sure if he got loose. Yeah, Richard Hurst was never touching him here. The 96, back this up a little bit more, actually. Does he ever make contact? No, Richard never touches him here. Sometimes if you get close, you can put a little bit of bad air on the rear end, but not really the case here at a track like Daytona. So William George just drifts a little bit, and then it looks like maybe a slight bit of netcode is going to cause the actual contact, if you will, which wasn't really contact because it was netcode. John Lynch does a great job here in the sense of being able to take it back to the left. I think that wreck collects a ton of more guys if he doesn't do that. But unfortunately, it's going to collect 2 of the Hickox Racing drivers in the first contact. Watch this here. Joey is going to have nowhere to go. He's going to choose the inside, and you're kind of committed at this point. You see Randy Bonomi, of course, he had nowhere to go. Jay makes some contact, was able to miss most of it, I think. And then here's Joey. He committed to the inside. He's not going to be able to dodge. He's trying to check up, hoping Randy will slide. Joey makes some slight contact, and then we're going to see some more contact right here. As it looks like the 88-79, that's James Scamordella. They just had nowhere to go. And then are they going to get spun? Yeah, they get spun, so they make some contact here. That was kind of what I thought was the secondary wreck. A couple of hits right there. And then just behind these guys, I think we had maybe a couple more that got spun. Nope. Everybody else is able to sneak through pretty much unscathed. So it looked like Joey Hickox and maybe the 88 and the 79 had gotten the worst of it. John Lynch, of course, spun as well. I want to ride on board, though, with Jay Stinson through that because, man, I think he made some slight contact. It certainly wasn't bad, but overall, he does a heck of a job, I think, getting on the brakes just to miss this, or miss the brunt of it at least. Watch this. Ooh, actually, yeah, he takes a pretty solid shot, and the worst part of that for Jay is that it's on the front end. You can get damage in a lot of places on these trucks and be good to go. The front end is one of those where you don't want to get it on. It will hurt your aero tremendously. So the whole field came down to the pits, and while they're racing it out of pit road, Robert Dudley is going to be scored as your current leader. Kenneth Redinger in second. Haas Beverly third. William George in fourth. And Keith Prince going to be rounding out your top 5. How about Jay Stinson 6th? Richard Hurst in 7th. Alex Gray 8th. Grant Turner 9th. And Robert E. Morrison rounding out your top 10. Well, speaking of your top 10, we just talked about, of course, Richard Hurst being one of the drivers inside your top 10. Let's say we go see if we can't get a quick word with one of the, I believe he's a Spino racing driver this season. Yep, sure enough he is. Designers and graphics. Let's see if we can go get a word real quick with Richard. Hey Richard, this is Austin up at the booth. You got a copy? And we'll try him again there. I think I may have had him muted. Let's see if we got him. Hey Richard Hurst, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I do.
All right. So, man, you're coming off firing on all cylinders out here tonight. Looking good. You got the VR headset on. Looking good in person too. But right now, it's been pretty calm, I got to say, for a Daytona pack race. We saw you make that 3-wide move earlier. Is there another thought of trying another one of those here on this run, or do we kind of settle down for a little bit here and try to get some green flag stops in?
I think I'm going to settle in right here and see if I can get stay up here towards the top 10. See if Joe can catch up to me, my teammate, and maybe we can link up together and make something happen. These guys are very fast. They're very competitive up here. I've raced with a lot of them, so it's going to be strategic moves tonight.
And you have been looking very fast yourself here tonight. Now, talking about, it is just you and your one teammate, John Lynch, of course, who was involved in that last caution. But let's say you two get together and we get to the general area time for green flag stops. How do you go about deciding, you can't just pit with 2 trucks. How do you guys go about deciding which group you try to go with?
Well, luckily we got some allies out there on the track. I mean, we got Hickox Racing, or Venom Racing, and then we got the 4-wide boys out here. So, I'm good friends with them. We broadcast for them. So hopefully I got some allies that'll go with me.
All right, sounds good. Hey, thanks for talking to us. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see if maybe you can find yourself in victory lane in the season opener.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, that's Richard Hurst. We're going to slide him back down to his team here. And that's interesting. Spino Racing, sometimes the less teammates the better, but 2 teammates can be just a little bit too little here at a track like Daytona in a certain sense. The more teammates the better at super speedways, but I think those 2 trucks, if they get together, they're going to be very fast, certainly enough to make a move and get some takers. But Hickox Racing, still doing a great job. They got a lot of their guys up here in the top 5 and the top 10. Joey and Randy Bonomi going to have to recover from that wreck. Not sure if they had to use their fast repair or not. Hoping that they didn't. They should still be good to go, but they're going to have to get a little more feisty and a little bit more aggressive, as we are now almost 25% of the way through the season opener here at Daytona. Redinger and Beverly, row 1. William George, Keith Prince, row 2. Green flag is back in the air. Big jump for the inside line. William George and Kenneth Redinger off to the races. Meanwhile, the outside's trying to get it back together. How quick can Keith Prince get to the back bumper of Haas Beverly? Looks like Keith is going to choose to jump to the inside. That is going to put Richard Hurst in position to be the lead pusher, but the outside line just continues to fall. Now Jay Stinson, he likes what he sees. He wants to jump to the top. Thinks better of it. It's going to jump back down in line for now. Now he goes back up to the top, looking for Richard Hurst to get up to his back bumper. I think he was waiting for that run to make enough momentum for him to have a shot at it. And now that he does, Richard does get to his bumper, and they're making a lot of time here down the backstretch. Not going to be able to get clear. It's going to take a straightaway or 2 to get up to speed, but how about Sam Boutwell now? He finds himself in 7th, already up 21 positions from where he started. And your second biggest mover inside your top 10 is going to be Richard Hurst. He is up 17th from where he started, the lead pusher on the outside line. So Kenneth was on the outside for a good portion of the start of the race, but once he got a chance to jump to the inside, seems like he has felt the most comfortable there and has not felt like moving too much from it. Be interesting to see if late in this race, maybe guys start thinking about controlling the high line a little bit more. Again, lanes have been pretty even so far, but we haven't seen that really aggressive pushing just yet either. Here's the outside line. Big run for Jay Stinson. Richard Hurst giving him a beautiful push down the back stretch. Is it enough for Jay to get clear? It looks like it is. Jay's not going to take it, though. Jay decides better of it. It might have been a little closer than it looked like from the cockpit view. And at a certain point, I think if you're Richard here, this is where the mind games start to come in between William George and Richard Hurst. Now, the 12 truck not being tucked up to the inside is really going to hurt their momentum over time here, because William George, he's having to push a lot harder, use a lot more temps from that truck to keep that inside line dead even with the outside. Meanwhile, the outside, a little bit more organized, a couple more trucks that are closer together than the inside. And if Richard Hurst lines one up here and gets Jay clear, I think Jay might have to drop down low to give the 76 a little bit of fresh temps. Ooh, looked like the one truck thought about 3 wide. I think that was the one truck. Take a look from the blimp cam here tonight. Aerial coverage provided by Ghost Racing Network, I guess, because of course we don't have Goodyear. Yeah, that was the one truck of Ronnie Morrison. You saw him jump out of line just a little bit on the backstretch. Thought maybe he was thinking 3 wide, but he quickly thought better of it. And these two getting tandem up a little bit further back. And that is the 17 truck of Treston Fortson. Good to see him back out this season. I believe he is another one of the drivers that got a new team this year. Sure enough, he is on Wally Racing. Well, not Wally Racing, just Wally. Grant Turner just behind him for SRM/Team Hot Wheels, one of the drivers that was carrying a cam tonight. Christopher Bonomi, one of the independent drivers, but he's having a pretty good night. Been keeping an eye on him, been running in the top 15 for the most part. And then how about Matthew Dyer? We talked about he needed a caution. He got one in the track position that he had lost on the last run, in the sense of almost half the track behind the leaders. He made sure that did not happen again, and he made sure he crawled and fought his way through this pack a little bit. The 5 truck, though, of John Bell, 2 rows up, you saw right there, he looked like he had a big moment in 3. Didn't have anyone really near him, just looked like he got kind of loose. That was an odd look for the 5 truck. The 98 of Jeff Carl, one of the guys that I think was drafting with Matthew Dyer. Those 2 trucks were the 2 solo trucks. And Guy Bracco, another one of the guys that needed a caution. He got it, and now he finds himself back up in this lead pack, a little bit more towards the back of it. But the draft stretch is pretty long, as you're within probably about a second of the group in front of you. Yeah, and he's tucked to the inside. He's just fine. He's not going to have to worry about it. This is where guys can actually run some of the highest speeds that we'll see all night, is in the back of the pack when they get the big pull. You see 187 down the straightaway. If we go up a little bit, 182. The checkups are something that we have not had to talk about tonight, thankfully, but we did almost have one on that first caution. Didn't seem like it was too much of a checkup, but if one guy wiggles in one of the lanes, especially if it's towards the front, it's going to be a chain reaction that goes all the way back, and that could certainly be a caution sparker. But how about Jay Stinson getting to the lead, dropping down to the inside? Kenneth Redinger was having none of it. He said, all right, I'll go ahead and try this again. Jumps right back to the outside. And they've been hanging dead even. Of course, Jay was able to bring Richard Hurst, his pusher, with him, and that was all a factor of that inside. Not having the 3rd truck, the 12 of Haas Beverly, close enough. And eventually William George just couldn't quite handle it anymore in terms of his engine temps. Had to back it down a little bit. Certainly don't want to blow an engine this early in the race. Justin Parham, he's up 23 from where he started, finds himself now outside the top 10. Talked about Kenneth looking for a teammate. He might have one here in a short time. Kenneth able to drop back down to the inside. That's going to put Matthew Fritz carrying the Manny Rays paint scheme to the lead on the outside. He's getting pushed from Sam Boutwell. We are going to be completing lap 30 at the line next time, so I would say probably expect the next green flag pit stop somewhere in 10 to 15 laps from now, assuming that we're able to make it to the point where we can get one. And this is my favorite camera right here. Screenshot 2 just shows you the entire field in that one image. Different guys running different lines. The 5 truck at John Bell still looking a little bit wiggly here as Matthew Fritz is going to take the lead, but not by much. Oh man, he had to slam the door there on Kenneth. That got really, really tight. I thought the 29 was going to go around for just a second, but he holds on. I think Kenneth might have cut him a little bit of slack there, but he is probably saying, hey buddy, maybe think twice before you come across my nose later in this race. Sam Boutwell now to lead on the outside. The one truck of Ronnie Morrison pushing him. Ronnie, another one of the independent drivers here in the series. Not doing too bad at all. Finds himself second on the outside, fourth in the overall standings. Still not too much to rewind. In fact, we saw more in the first green flag run than what we're seeing so far in the second. But everybody just feeling it out. We have still seen quite a few lead changes. And now the outside is starting to look a little bit stronger as guys start to get a little bit more adventurous with their pushing. Down the backstretch, that's where they really prevail, of course, in the turns, the shorter way around at a track where everybody is going just about the same speed and pushing. You're going to get a little bit of advantage, but these straightaways, they can carry a lot of momentum down them. And I'm telling you, I think if you get 2 or 3 really strong pushers lined up on the outside like we're seeing now, they are going to be dangerous. But Kenneth Rittinger, he is another really strong pusher, and he is not going to let Matthew Fritz lose that lead without a fight. Question is, who can push for longer without having to back off to conserve those engine temps? Let's take a look at your running order here from back to front. Blaze Richardson in the 18, he has pulled off the track. Ryan Gomes as well, who was involved in that first caution. The 18 getting back up to speed. Joey Hickox, last truck running in the pack right now. He currently sits in 31st position. Just in front of him, how about Russ Kilgore? Robert E. Morrison in 29th. It's going to be David Traylor in 28th. Guy Bracco, 27th. Billy Davison in 26th. Albert Hewins, the new addition to Hickox Racing this year, sits 25th. Mark Beverly in 24th. Randy Bonomi, 23rd. He's still trying to recover from that first caution, which he was involved in. Down 22 from where he started. James Scamordella, another truck involved in that first caution of the night. He sits in 22nd. Jeff Carl, 21st. Christopher Bonomi in 20th. Robert Dudley in 19th. It's going to be John Lynch in 18th. Chase Greer in 17th. Zach Stevens in 16th. Alex Gray 15th. Matthew Dyer 14th. Keith Prince in 13th. Haas Beverly in 12th. Grant Turner in 11th. Grant, another one of the new guys this season. Been talking about him a couple times here tonight. Treston Fortson for Wally Racing. Had a good run late in the season. Last season, he's another one trying to carry momentum. Oh, we're going to have some pit stops here. Let's take a look at him here. This is going to get fun. Does everybody get down to speed? And it is a big group. Looks like a couple of teammates and then maybe a couple of allies here. Spino Racing, remember when we asked who they were going to decide to pit with? Well, they decided they're going to go ahead and go with Hickox Racing here. Matthew Fritz leads them in. Jay Stinson follows in line. There's John Lynch. Randy Bonomi's going to follow as well. So does Joey Hickox and Robert E. Morrison. Now, Robert E. Morrison, he's not on either of these teams. A little bit surprised to see him go down, but a couple tag-alongs as Christopher Bonomi goes in as well. Albert Hewins is one of the Hickox Racing drivers. And these guys all do a magnificent job on and off of pit road. They're going to get out just as clean as they got in. Jay Stinson, though, is going to win the race off of pit road. You see the 90 of John Lynch still has some damage from that earlier wreck, but as these guys get up to speed, does anybody else decide to go in this time? They do not. They're coming up on the lap truck, the 18 of Blaze Richardson. That was a lot earlier than I expected. I got to be honest. There might be some strategy involved here, depending on how many laps everybody can go. They might have been right at that fuel window where now maybe they'll run it out. For the next 2 stops, they may have also just wanted to generally get away from the lead pack. Now, the only thing that concerns me a little bit about this strategy is that we have seen with this new package, the more trucks you have, the faster you're going to go, and you got to wonder how many of these guys are going to be able to tag on. Looks like Jay Stinson, he's got 3 trucks behind him. John Lynch, Matthew Fritz, Richard Hurst. They all did a great job getting off pit road. They're together. The 55 of Albert Hewins. He's in a little bit of a trouble spot here. He's still close and within draft range, but he's got to make sure he catches up to Richard. They're going to get a bridge car here, though, which is really going to help the lap truck. The 22 of Ryan Gomes. That should allow Albert to pull up, and Joey just hanging on by a thread right now. He is doing everything he can to hold on as well. And then, unfortunately for these two, Randy Bonomi, and it looks like Robert E. Morrison, not so great on the pit stops. They're going to get a bit slower. Randy Bonomi might have had an issue there. Looks like he may have been down on the apron for just a moment. He gathers himself up as this group of 3 trucks is going to go right on by up front. No more pit stops just yet. Kenneth Rittinger still leading the way, but he's got his teammate now, Justin Parham. Grandstand Racing 1-2 on the inside. The 17 of Treston Fortson on the outside. Sam Boutwell just behind him. And more guys shuffling to that bottom line. Good signal pit stops are coming probably within the next 3 to 5 laps. You got to keep an eye on the lap times compared to your leader. And then, of course, all the way back to where Jay Stinson is running. And it looks like, as of right now, the gap sits at about 36.7 seconds. It's not really moving. It's just kind of hanging the same. But that's not the stat that these guys are too worried about. They're more worried about catching on to the next big pack, which is going to be this group of 4. And then just in front of them, the back of the main pack currently is being rounded out by Mark Beverly in the 13 truck, Jeff Carl and James Scamordella. It looks like the gap from them back to Jay Stinson, it's extending slightly. It's kind of hanging even, and then extending, then soaking down a little bit. Either way, time will tell once we see pit stops from the lead pack, depending on how they come out to where the group that already pitted came out. And I think the advantage here of staying out, assuming that you can maintain your lap times and then pitting, is if you can make your way out and still be with the guys that already pit, and you're going to be in good position for later in this race. You'll have to take less fuel on those final stops. Be interesting to see. Guys do have 6 tire sets. Tires don't really matter too much here at a track like Daytona. But maybe taking 2, especially if you're going to be waiting on fuel anyway. Go ahead and get yourself some lefts or right. It does make a big difference on the pit exit. Of course, making sure that you don't spin the tires and then getting up to speed. We're going to have another taker here. Looking for who it is. Looks like it is going to be John Bell. And the 5 truck goes by himself. A little bit of an interesting call here. Jeff Carl. Ooh, he got in a little hot. Not sure if he quite made it in. I think he got in the grass. Let's take a look. He's trying to make the late commitments. Got it locked up. Got it locked up. That's going to cost him a ton of time. He does make it onto the pits, and it looks like at speed, but all that time that he lost right there, it's going to be tough. Meanwhile, up front, Kenneth Redinger still leads the way, and he is going to be able to pit with at least one of his teammates. They'd probably like to see Matthew Dyer get a little bit closer, but it looks like Dyer is still in this pack. I think he'll probably be able to pit with them as well. Polch has a funny story there in the chat. And the first time that you met David Traylor, boy, that is an interesting one for sure. Can't say I've heard something quite like that. Interesting. All right, either way, up front, more guys trying to get single file. Other guys on the inside, not wanting to let him in. You can see the 12 right there of Haas Beverly. There was a little bit of a gap, and it looked like Tristan Fortson thought about taking it and had to think twice as that gap closed up pretty quick. Go back live, though, here. I do apologize. I've been in replay mode here for a moment. So we go back live, though, now. It looks like Tristan Fortson, not sure if he found himself a lane down to the bottom. Kenneth Redinger, though, I think these guys did indeed pit while we're on live. Let's see if I can check real quick. And I take that back, actually. It doesn't look like your leaders have pit yet. So Kenneth Redinger, Justin Parr, going to wreck in the back here. This is going to bring out the caution. And if you are Hickox Racing, you probably didn't want to see that caution. Couldn't tell. It looked like the 79 maybe of James Scamordella had been involved. As he gets back. Oh, man, heavy right side damage, right front damage to be more specific. Yeah, the 79 is definitely not feeling too good right now. He's probably going to have to use a fast repair on that. He's not going to be too fast, especially if he's leading the way. Might be okay in the draft, but question is what happened here. It started to get a little messy as they went around some lap trucks, and things just never really got sorted out. This is off of turn 2. And, ooh. That's heavy contact into the outside wall. Couldn't tell who it was with. Looks like the 13 truck, who I think might have been the innocent victim in that case, as it looked like James might have been just slightly coming up the track. Couldn't tell for sure, but Mark Beverly was the other truck involved. Let's take a look from the chopper view here. Now watch the 79 hanging out here in the middle. And is he just going to come up a little bit? Yeah, he does. Just drifts up. The 13's there, and slight contact between the two. Maybe really slight netcode, but that one certainly looked like some contact. 79 got up the track. Actually, one more time here from the chopper cam. Play nice and slow. It's hard to say. There might have been some slight netcode and then the contact. Everybody else does miss him. It only collects 2 trucks. That's the good part about it. Bad part about it is, like I said, if you're Hickox Racing, you did not want to see that caution. That caution is definitely going to hurt your strategy here a little bit. Give you one more shot of it here from the spotter view. Second caution of the night. Not too bad as we're kind of approaching the halfway mark here. Not too bad at all. Leading the way is the group that's in the pits. They may not be the leaders anymore. We'll have to see how it shuffles out, but we'll keep an eye right here on your race out of the pits. This is always crucial. Track position is never a bad thing to have. It's going to be a drag race between the 1 and Kenneth Rittinger and Ronnie Morrison. He got it. Nice way to execute. Who says you can't gain some track position under caution? Ronnie Morrison certainly believes he can. Looking at the field, though, it is going to be Jay Stinson leading the way. John Lynch in second. Matthew Fritz third. Richard Hurst fourth. Albert Hewins fifth. Joey Hickox in sixth. Billy Davison in seventh. Ronnie Morrison eighth. Kenneth Rittinger in ninth. And Keith Prince rounding out your top 10. So sure enough, the guys that did pit, it did work out in the sense that they found their way to the front. We'll have to see how things all pan out. I'm not sure if they decided to come back down to pit right there or not. If they did, they would have had to take less fuel. Maybe they still jumped the track position, but I'm thinking maybe they just stayed out. It's kind of my guess here is that they probably just went ahead and stayed out to play it safe. Yeah, it's looking like they did. If you are just tuning in here tonight, you are watching the season opener, the Manny Rays 250 at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, here on Ghost Racing Network. Hope you are enjoying it. We appreciate you spending your late Saturday night here watching the NOMA guys go at it. Super Speedways, always one of my favorites. They're just always fun to watch. You never really have to worry about getting bored at any part. And they always have every aspect of every other race to them. Pit strategy, count on it. Teamwork, count on it. 3 wide, aggressive moves and great racing, you better be counting on it. Keeps all these things nice and exciting. Let's see if we can get an interview from John Lynch, who has recovered very nicely after his early incident. Hey John, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right. Well, we've been keeping an eye on you. You were involved in that first incident, but just as quickly as you were involved in that incident, you find your way right back to the front. Going to be starting on the outside now. The pit strategy and caution, I feel like, might have threw you guys off a little bit right there. So what's going to be the game plan the rest of the way?
My game plan is run this outside with my teammate here and try and get the stage, but at the same time, it's Daytona. We're not even halfway yet, so you want to keep the car clean too. So if I had to pick over a clean car or stage win, I'd go with the clean car, but the goal is a stage win here.
All right. Well, not that many laps completed, so it's going to be aggressive. Keep that wheel tight, and we will see if we are seeing you at the end of this thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, and we're going to send John right up back to his team here, and you know, that actually reminded me of the fact that that first stage, again, this is the NOMA is one of the few series that I broadcast that does stages. And with the caution, I knew that there was the stage on 20, but it kind of slipped my mind for just a second there with the way that caution came out, and I didn't even realize that caution that we had about lap 20 ended up just being the stage caution. So guys maybe racing a little bit more aggressive for it was what caused it, and sure enough, the second stage here is going to end on lap 50, technically the end, so caution will be flown on lap 51. It's going back to lap 20. We didn't even get a chance to talk to your stage winner. But either way, apologize for that. Either way, we're certainly going to know who wins stage 2 here, because we got tabs on the fact that it has only 7 laps in it. And that would very well explain the strategy of staying out right here, because these guys know there's a stage coming up. Everybody's going to top off on field end, but stage points always crucial. Green flag back in the air. John Lynch gets a pretty good jump, maybe just a little bit of tire spin for both lanes. John going to go a little extra high here, maybe trying to break any side draft that Jay Stinson would get off the 90 truck right now. Down into turn 1. The 31's going to poke a nose out in front. Does he think about jumping up high to try to block the momentum? I think he's going to stay committed low all the way to the end of the stage unless he somehow Gets boxed in by the 90, but Richard Hurst is going to have to push the 90 in front of him first if that were to be the case. Most of the damage on the side for John Lynch, so I don't think that's going to affect him out in front. Seems like he is holding speed just fine. Joey Hickox back up there after the wreck he was in earlier, of course, with this pit strategy that these guys are currently on. And here we go, 3 wide, the 7 truck, Grant Turner. He wants in on the action. Oh, we're going to wreck the 96, William George. That's going to be a big shot into the inside wall. He's not going to be able to save that one, I wouldn't think. Caution is out. Yeah, it's a big shunt for the 96, maybe? No way. Does he save this thing? He may have, actually. I'm not seeing any damage on the front. It certainly looked like he was going to tag the inside wall. Ooh, and it does look like there's a little bit of left front damage from this angle. Let's take a look, though, before we confirm any theories. I just did not see any way he would have been able to miss this wall. The angle he was at. 3 wide, Grant Turner up top. And where's it all going to go wrong right here? It looks like William George drifting up. Second time tonight he's drifted. This time it was up instead of down. And he starts sliding down. Boy, the 21 somehow misses him. I could not tell you how. Going for a slide, and no, he's going to make some contact with the left front. As you can see, it caved in there just a little bit. Let's take a couple more looks at it here. How about from the blimp cam? And this should give you a pretty good idea of the drift. Now watch him come up here. Justin Parham's running a little bit low right here, but yeah, overall William George just kind of comes up. Locks it down, trying to steer out of it. Unfortunately, he's just not quite able to do so in time. And that is, I don't know if that's going to be fast pair worthy, but that's definitely going to be probably a couple minutes on pit road worthy. Back this up a little bit. Give you one final view of it here from the roll bar. Third caution here of the night. And I'm thinking we're going to be able to get this thing restarted one more time before the end of the stage. However, it might be, let's see, a 1-lap shootout. They'll probably get the 1-to-go signal next time. So actually we might get 3 laps in here, assuming that we do indeed get that 1-to-go signal here next time. Couple reminders for you here. Next place, Ghost Racing is going to head. And in fact, let's just go over and get that out of the way now. The Pocono 200 for the Fast Track Sim Racing Cup Series, July 24th. Green flag at 9. Don't miss out on the Tricky Triangle. Going to be a good one. These guys have custom setups, so they know how to wheel and deal. It's going to be a fun one to commentate, that is for sure. Of course, NOMA going to be back next Saturday. The schedule a bit shuffled up from what we're used to seeing. Got a couple different races. Got more off weeks this season as well, but... And actually, I take that back. The NOMA's not. Excuse me. The NOMA's going to be back not next Saturday. I'm going to say the Saturday after that, because next week is indeed an off week for the NOMA Truck Series. And then we head to Auto Club, followed by Nashville Super Speedway, another off week. And then we have a 4-race stint, Pocono, Legacy, Atlanta for a throwback race, Miami, followed by Kentucky before another off week. And you don't need to know any further ahead than then. At least not right now, because that is still a pretty long ways out. If you missed out on the SummerSlam last Thursday for the PGR, it was a good race. Make sure you check it out. It was a thriller all the way to the finish. $750 was crowned to your winner. Sean Hill, of course, had got the win. Congratulations again to him. Speaking of wins, how sweet would it be to get a win here in the season opener and at the biggest track in all of racing, most historic track. In my opinion, the most fun track. Don't get me wrong, I love Talladega, but Daytona, it's a little bit smoother. It's a little bit more narrow. You got to hold that wheel just a little bit tighter. And then, of course, it's usually always the season opener, all the hype that builds up to it. And it usually never fails to deliver, and it has not so far here tonight. NOMA thanks all their sponsors. If we haven't got them all tonight, Manny Rays, of course, the title sponsor, Flatwoods, Spino, one of the new sponsors on the season, Design and Graphics. Appreciate them hopping on board. John Lynch running the Spino scheme. Him and Richard Hurst, 2 teammates, have been having a great night, both inside the top 5 for quite a bit of the night. Blue Ridge Auto Group, H&H Tractor Works, all these guys that join on board to make this series happen each and every season. Then, of course, everybody that comes out and watch, we appreciate you, and I know the guys watching the broadcast appreciate that everybody comes out and enjoys watching these guys go at it. Well, the sun is continuing to set. We talked about it. Race was continued going tonight. And here it is. Yeah, the sim time must be sped up or something here. Yeah, it must be, I guess, if you think about it, because you see in sim time, we've already advanced like an hour and a half-ish. And it's only been about an hour. So it's hard to say here, but we very well could get into nighttime. It's almost, well, not quite, I guess. It's 7:12 in sim time. And I would say sunset at this time could maybe be around 8 o'clock. We'll have to see it if we do head into night. Track temp, on the other hand, bottom of the little tower on your right there, 80 degrees. It continues to cool down. That means speeds are going to continue to pick up. And John Lynch, Jay Stinson, Matthew Fritz, Richard Hurst, and Albert Hewins, your top 5, all going to be in the battle for this stage win. It is going to be a 3-lap shootout to decide it. Bryce reminding everybody in the chat, Ghost Racing Network does now have merch. Sure enough, make sure you go check it out if you have some free time. Pace truck working its way out of turn 4. We saw guys wanting to try 3 wide last time. Will we see them think about trying it again here pretty quick? 3 laps is not much time, and if you're wanting to get to the front to get to the stage points, then I think you've got to be one of the first trucks in that 3rd lane. If you're not, then you might get trapped towards the back of it. That's not a good place to be, especially when things get chaotic. Here we go into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 3 laps to go in stage 2. Oh, man. The 90 truck, John Lynch, he got a big jump. Too big of a jump. He's going to have to be really, really careful here because he could very well be a sitting duck once they work their way onto the backstretch. Richard Hurst is going to be his saving grace right here. He's got to hope. Oh, man, look at the run from the outside forming. This is going to be a rocket ship of a line. He throws a block. Huge shot from Jay Stinson. How do they all hold on to that? Oh, my goodness. Jay was not lifting. Holy moly. I cannot believe John Lynch hang on, and he still holds on to the lead through it all. That's going to put his teammate Richard Hurst in the lead on the bottom, 2x2, but this is phenomenal racing. Jay is going to continue to give him all he's got. Probably wasn't too happy with the move, and he's going to make sure if John wants the stage win that he certainly earns it. Off of turn 4, coming to 2 laps to go now. And, man, if John gets clear, you got to wonder, does he drop down here? Man, Jay is pushing the daylights out of him. You can see the truck fishtailing. John has got to have his hands full. Watch the wheel on the lead truck on the outside. To another swerve. How long can this go, man? Jay continues to push through the turns. Those 2 trucks do not look like they're hooking up very well, but John continues to hold on to it. Here's the big run that they were waiting for. Is it enough to get clear? Joey Hickok's trying to push Richard Hurst. It's not going to be enough. Sure enough, John Lynch is clear, but he doesn't drop down. Jay does, though, on the other hand. Makes the move. Lynch tries to block. It's not going to be enough. Jay Stinson, your leader here, working its way into turn 3, but it's not over just yet. If Richard Hurst gets clear, he might think about making a move up to the top. Off turn 4, going to be coming to the white flag. One more time around. No, now Joey Hickox jumps up to the top line. And that was a chaotic sequence. I don't think I've ever seen 2 wide racing be so aggressive. One more time around Daytona here for stage 2. Joey Hickox side by side with his teammate, the 2 Spino racing drivers side by side in row 2. The independent driver Ronnie Morrison, and then another Hickox racing driver, Matthew Fritz, row 3. Still no 3 wide yet. If somebody's going to make the move, they're going to have to make it soon. Richard Hurst staying nice and loyal to the back bumper of Jay Stinson. Not going to try to force it to the middle. I think he is committed, and I think he is going to stay there all the way to the checkered flag. One more set of corners here. Who is going to get the stage 2 victory? Does Joey have one more push? John Lynch not able to get to Joey just yet. Here they come down the short chute. Now we see 3 wide from Matthew Fritz. He's going to get some help to the line. The inside's going to get it. Jay Stinson wins stage 2. And, man, I need a breather after that one. Oh, my goodness. What a chaotic. Not the last lap so much, but the 2 laps before it. John Lynch was doing everything in his power to hold off Jay Stinson, and Jay was doing everything to make sure that he could get the stage win. He does. It pays off. And that was a thriller. We're going to have to bring Jay right up. Normally we would wait a little bit for a cooldown, but I don't want to cool down. I want to hear Jay's instant reaction to what we just saw there. That was absolutely crazy. Let's see if we can bring him up. Hey, Jay, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's up, Austin? How you doing, buddy?
Good. Well, man, I need to catch my breath. I don't know about you, but that was chaotic, and that was exciting to watch the sequence there, those last 3 laps. First of all, take us from the move there. Was it a block by John Lynch, and your response to it, getting the stage win? Lead us through all of it.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know. Like, I wasn't too happy about the late move up, and it was too late to let off, so I ended up hitting him in the tail. Which at that point in time, there's nothing else to do, so I was just going to push him all the way up to the lead, and then he kept blocking. After I got him up in front, he didn't drop down, just kind of stayed in the middle. So I made the move. He kept trying to block, and at that point in time, it just shuffled him back. So it didn't work out too well for him. That's all I can say.
Well, it was a good end to the season last season, for Hickox Racing, and it's a good start to the season so far. Strategy playing out here for Stage 2, but the strategy is going to change up a bit more for Stage 3. How do you guys have it mapped out?
You know, basically just going to see how it goes with cautions and some other things, just to make sure that we make the right moves and do the right things. So main thing is just put yourself in a position to win and do the right things there.
All right, thanks for talking to us. Congrats on the Stage 2 win, and we'll see if you can maybe get another win, but the bigger one in the race win.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man.
Jay Stinson for Hickox Racing. Man, and you know, I guess if there's a nice way to say it, maybe I want to see Joey aggravated a little bit more when it comes to racing, because he made that exciting. I cannot wait to see what we are in store for the rest of this race. Pit stops are underway. 53 laps completed here at Daytona, over halfway for the Manny Rays 250. We are going to take a break, but you won't miss a thing as we go side by side. Stick with us. Back live at Daytona International Speedway. 55 laps completed. 54. We're going to be completing 55 this next time around. In the Manny Rays 250, 250 miles to kick off the season. And it has been fun. It has been exciting. It's been chaotic. It's been everything you wanted it to be and more so far here tonight. And we still have just a handful under 50 laps of racing to go. And you know things are only going to get more and more crazy as the race goes on, as the sun continues to set, and as that little chirp of winning the Manny Rays 250 starts to get louder in each of these drivers' ears. Jeff Carl is going to be leading us back to green here as we had got the 1-to-go signal. John Bell starts in second on the outside. Joey Hickox third. John Lynch fourth. Richard Hurst fifth. Grant Turner in sixth. Tony Roddy Morrison in seventh. Jay Stinson in eighth. Actually flipped those two spots. Kenneth Rittinger in ninth. Treston Fortson rounding out your top 10. And some guys, we didn't mention this either, but some guys maybe not the best at certain tracks. But just as we have road course specialists, we also have super speedway specialists. And that always opens the door to see a new winner, maybe somebody that we don't see win all the time. And it always adds that extra factor of excitement to Daytona and Talladega. And of course, New Atlanta, which we're going to head to for the All-Star race. I'm excited for that one. I think that's sometime mid-season. Whenever the All-Star break / race is going to be making, you want to make sure you tune in for that one. It is going to be fun. All right, here we go. Stage 3. Green flag is in the air. Good start for Jeff Carl. John Bell's going to try to hang even, but he falls back a little bit. Now he tucks down in line. And of course, both of these drivers, Lucky Dog Racing, so that might have been coordinated. Got to try to get with your teammates here as quick as possible. We still got a long ways to go in stage 3, but the quicker you get lined up, the better you're going to be. But you're going to get kind of ganged up on here, if you will, in the sense. Hickox Racing, Joey, he wants the lead. He's going to jump to the outside. John Lynch and Richard Hurst both going to follow in suit. It's the field all kind of getting situated. Jay Stinson on the back bumper, John Bell, they started to get wiggly. Now we got Kenneth Redinger. He's going to jump to the middle, and he is going to force the 81 truck right up to the top. So we're going to see some 3 wide here right off the bat. The 81's trying to find a spot back in line. Can't catch the break just yet. The 49 having none of it. Robert Dudley does not want to let Alex Cray down. Finally did, though. Matthew Fritz to the inside of those two. And will we see the separation in the pack this time as we've seen on a couple of the past runs? Joey was able to get his way to the lead and jump down to the bottom. Ronnie Morrison now leads the outside with Jay Stinson pushing. The 17 of Treston Fortson, that third truck, looked like he had about half a truck gap. He's going to close that up. And if you're Kenneth, do you think about going 3 wide here, or do you play it patient? I don't know if he has anybody that would necessarily commit with him. And how much risk is he willing to take? Again, we still have, I would say, at least 1 scheduled pit stop, potentially 2. Unless we were to see a caution, I would say at any point from here on out. Actually, I take that back. I think if we see a caution anywhere from lap 60 on forward, then it would be, we would only see 1 more guaranteed pit stop after that point. But could still very well see 2 more stops as of right now. 2 by 2, working their way through 1 and 2. Nobody has really had the guts to get more than a truck or 2 on that third line and get it working. We've seen Grant Turner try it. We saw Richard Hurst trying it earlier, and those guys were able to make some progress, so I'm surprised that nobody else has thought about trying it just yet, but everybody continues to remain 2 wide. I think if it was Talladega, maybe people would have gotten a little bit more creative, a little bit more earlier, but with Daytona not being as wide, everybody just continuing to mind their P's and Q's here. 57 of 100 laps in, closing in on 40 laps to go. Crunch time isn't really until around 40 laps to go, so again, no rush. But how about the roller coaster night so far for Joey Hickox? Had a good start, had a great run going early, got caught up in the first caution to the back, threw a little pit strategy right back to the front. Ronnie Morrison's been having a great night. One of the independent drivers been running with the big boys like it's no problem. And John Lynch, he's had a couple of different things here tonight. Of course, found himself involved in that first wreck. Pit strategy got him back to the front. He tried everything he could to hold off Jay Stinson for the stage win. Couldn't do it. Finds himself in third now. Jay Stinson got that stage 2 win. Richard Hurst, he's been having a great night running in your top 5 for most of it. Treston Fortson up in there. Albert Hewins, the new addition this season. We've talked about him a couple times tonight for Hickox Racing. Maybe not quite the debut he's wanted. Finds himself in 15th right now. But when he was up there with his teammates, he had looked strong and was holding track position pretty well. The problem becomes in a lot of these races, especially when you can see nobody really wants to get that third lane working, is making up the track position, right? I mean, if guys are 2 by 2 throughout the entire field, bumper to bumper, you can't really go anywhere. It doesn't give you that many options except for that third lane, and that's where you run the risk of, does anybody go with you? And if they don't, depending on where you're running on the track, you might have to worry about losing all of your track position. And you certainly do not want to find yourself in the middle with no help. That is the sucker hole. You will go all the way to the back right there as well. The outside fading a little bit here. Ronnie Morrison was able to get to the lead off the front bumper of Jay Stinson, and now Joey's going to hop up right in front of his teammate. They're going to try to shuffle it right back around. Jay got probably about a quarter of a lap or so of clean air. And now that he gets his teammate Joey right in front of him, he is going to have to try to push Joey out to lead. I think Joey dropped right back down to the bottom. Maybe at the end of the backstretch right here if he can get it. Ooh, looked like we had one truck. Maybe make slight contact with all back here. I think it might have been Keith Prince, although I could not tell. Yeah, I think it was actually the 18 truck. I take that back. I think is the 18 truck of Blaze Richardson. Seems to be okay. No harm, no foul. But these guys still 3 wide trying to get it all sorted out. That's about the only thing that he's got to worry about right now. Oh, there's a big checkup, and this is going to be a wreck. The 47 of Sam Boutwell's involved. Caution's got to fly on this one, almost guaranteed. No. Did he keep it together? I know he hit the wall. And somebody hit the wall. I thought it was Sam Boutwell. Keith Prince gathers it back up, and yeah, Boutwell's coming down to the pits. No, never mind. He's going to stay out. Not sure if he's maybe hoping we'll get that caution. He doesn't look like he's running very much speed out of that truck right now. He's really, really slow, only about 141. So he must have took heavy front damage on the front. He sure enough did. Let's back it up here. And it's just a big checkup. We actually caught it kind of live as it was happening here. Take a view from the spotter cam on this one. And Justin Parham's going to start with the 13. I believe that is Mark Beverly. Yep, sure enough. And then Keith Prince, Justin Parham, the big checkup. And actually, it was the rear bumper cover of Justin Parham that we saw come flying off. And Sam Boutwell got into him. And then, of course, Sam Boutwell gets up into the outside safer barrier. But somehow these guys all keep it together. That's pretty incredible in itself. Randy Bonomi was just ahead of it. We were looking for that one. Christopher Bonomi, who I thought might have spun. He didn't. So he was able to hang on as well. But, yeah, big checkup. Going to cause trouble, and those guys are all going to need a caution. Sam Boutwell and probably Justin Parham specifically. Losing the back end may not be too bad, but losing the front or even getting that much damage that Sam Boutwell got, that's going to hurt him for sure. Meanwhile, back up front. Man, we've had quite a big shuffle here. Joey Hickox, since we last saw, is now back to 3rd on the outside. How about Richard Hurst and John Lynch now leading the outside, and on the inside, it's the one of Ronnie Morrison. Pushing him is Grant Turner in the 7 truck. Take a ride on board here with Grant. One of the drivers carrying the onboard cam. Take a look. He's got to be real careful. Ooh, man, they started to jump up just a little bit there. That got really, really close. I thought there was going to be some contact. There's not. They keep it all settled down and clean. But on the backstretch, not going to shy away from contact right here. He sees the outside. Look at the push that John Lynch is producing for his teammate right now. And this is where, as the night has went on, we continue to see more and more runs coming from the outside. Remember, the start of the race, especially through the first quarter, maybe to halfway through the race, the lanes were pretty even. As long as both lanes were pushing, nobody could really get an advantage. But as the lights start to come on here, the sun continues to set. That outside line has really started to pick up speed and momentum, and on the backstretch seems to be the place where we see a lead change. We see that outside line get the momentum, and somebody jump down to the bottom. But at a certain point, especially late in this race, if you're on the top, I got to think you maybe think twice about jumping to the bottom, knowing that the momentum is going to fade. Maybe you try to stay up top. But that's a hard thing to run, in the sense that if you were Jay Stinson and John Lynch, you could tell Jay, after the incident that he already had with John, the block, wasn't too happy, and he said, I was not letting up, and he didn't want to drop down, so I just went ahead and made the move myself. You don't want to get undercut either. All going to come down to a split-second decision. Who is going to make the decision? That will be the question. Nancy Hickok says, good racing, guys. This was a little while ago. I forgot to read it. These drivers have raced together for several years now, and they can run close together without wrecking. Let's go Hickox Racing and Spino Designs. Number 3 is my son. Number 90 is my grandson. And you know who we didn't get to see in the field tonight that I just thought about was Mr. Robert Duvendak. I don't know why. That had just popped in my mind, though. Miss seeing Robert out here. Another one of the veterans, one of the greats when it comes to super speedway racing, all tracks, but especially the super speedways. John Lynch gets his teammate clear. I thought they were both going to get clear for a second, but he's just going to worry about getting Richard clear. Richard jumps right down to the bottom. And we are about to be knocking right back on the door of green flag pit stops here. Gotta be expecting them somewhere within the next 7 to 10 laps, I would think. Don't think we're going to see the super early stop like we saw from the Hickox Racing crew during the last stage, stage 2. But we could certainly see some guys pit at the beginning of the fuel window. And again, it's not going to be a one-stopper. Everybody's going to have to probably pit twice, unless you could somehow, some way make it to lap 70, I would say 77 maybe, and I still don't think it's quite going to be enough. And it is just about fully night. Looking one more time at the weather. Sim time track temp down a little bit more now at 79 as we are now approaching 8 o'clock here in sim time at Daytona International Speedway. One of the most beautiful tracks to race at, I'll tell you what. Beautiful sunset. You get to see it working its way as you work your way out of turn 4. Richard Hursto now has led a handful or more in tonight's race. 67 of 100 completed. And how about it? Spino Racing 1-2. How cool would this be if in their first race, new season sponsor NOMA, they could get the 1-2 finish? There's a lot of racing left to go, and I don't think we're going to see this order stay the way it is right now. Looking at your track map, pretty much 2 packs right now. Of course, the main pack, which consists of about 85 to 90% of the field. But then there's this secondary pack here being led right now by Christopher Bonomi. Looks like Keith Prince is in it as well, the 21 truck. We haven't really talked too much about tonight. We brought him up a couple times. We certainly talked about him last week, and that is Zach Stevens. Had an excellent debut in the Clash and the LCQ, but not been his night so far. Still has time. He's going to have to try to recover. He's got a couple teammates. Chase Greer had a good run going for the most part last week. Started out strong. Unfortunately, he had faded out towards the end, was involved in a couple wrecks, so not much of his helping, but finds himself in the lead pack in 15th right now. But going back to the second pack, Sam Boutwell is in this pack as well. I think he may have had to go into pit, fix the damage that he obtained. Russ Kilgore. Looks like Billy Davison is in it as well. So they got 6 trucks. Interesting that they're running side by side right now. You would think the goal is to track down the lead pack. They're not in danger anytime soon of going a lap down, but they're going to need a caution at this point to get back up and have a chance at maybe going for a top 10 finish or the win if they're going to have any chance at it. And they're going to need that caution probably before the end of this race, of course. If they want to catch back up there, they're going to need it, I would say, 10 laps before the end of the race actually to play it safe. A lot of time that you got to make up even from the back of the pack. Unless you're willing to go 3 wide and you got 3 or 4 teammates and somehow, someway, nobody else jumps to the third lane on your ride up, you're probably going to run into some trouble. And that goes for all these guys. Don't wait till the last minute to make the move, because if you run into problems, the third lane gets clogged up, you get stuck. You don't want to be stuck when the big one happens. And let me tell you, the big one is going to happen. We haven't seen it yet tonight, but we are going to see it at some point. It's just all a matter of when. Nancy says, I was wondering about Robert maybe on vacation. Possibly. Very well could be. Hope to see Robert back. Not next week, of course, because it's the off week, but the week after at Auto Club. Auto Club's going to be another good one, too. That race last year did not disappoint. We saw the draft keep a lot of guys in it for a long time, but it was heavy on tire wear. Daytona's not, so everybody's going to have to make sure that they're disciplined next week for it. Because you got to make sure you save those tires at the same time while using the draft and trying to maintain track position. Dirty air is going to become a factor. A little bit of a stack up here on the outside line. Everybody keeps it. No issues with the back of the pack as they go. And that's why I think some guys are given half to a truck length of room in front of the truck in front of them. If you're not planning on making a move, why run any closer than you need to? Ooh, the 98. Jeff Carl, he's going to come to the pits. We're going to have a couple coming to the pits right here. John Bell's going to follow. Is this going to be all of Lucky Dog? It might be. No, it's going to be a mix here. Jeff Carl comes down, but it looks like so does Randy Bonomi. Blaze Richardson. We talked about John Bell as well. See how this group gets out, and this is opening up that fuel window and opening up pit stops. We'll see how much longer this group decides to go before they pit. Robert Dudak says, had to pick up my stepdaughter from Wisconsin today. Been on the road for 16 hours and getting home in 15 minutes. Didn't make the time, but tuning in to watch. Well, we missed you out here, Robert, but we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for letting us know. Will the Spino Racing drivers decide to pit this time? Here we go. Let's see. Does anybody decide to pull down to the pits? No. Everybody continues to stay out. Again, they're going to have to pit at least twice. Still 30 laps to go, assuming they can only make somewhere around 20, maybe a lap or two more on fuel. Ooh, little contact there. Couldn't tell if that was Jay Stinson or Joey Hickox that got down into the right side door of Ronnie Morrison. 2x2 up front. 2x2 probably about 7 rows deep, but then they single file out. All these guys getting ready for the pit stop. And if we have a big pit stop here tonight, maybe the biggest one that we've seen all night, that's where you also wonder, could we maybe run into some trouble? I always like the idea of trying to pit a lap or two before or after the big group, Try to get yourself with your teammates and only your teammates where you know you can trust everybody a little bit more. Richard Hurst down to the bottom with John Lynch. Still no pit stop this time. Joey Hickox and Jay Stinson still stuck up top. Looks like Treston Fortson and Robert E. Morrison are up there as well. They're going to have to find a way down sooner or later. They might be hoping here that the inside pits in this next lap or two and that they go a lap after. But they don't want to get caught sleeping and risk running out of fuel, although I don't think that's going to be an issue for these guys. Now, you see Robert E. Morrison up running in this pack. The bad news is he's not on the lead lap, unfortunately, so this is not so much for position. The good news is the further up he goes, the better chance he is to be in position for that lucky dog spot. And as he stands right now, he is indeed in that position. But he's got to be careful. Sam Boutwell is another one of the drivers. Well, Sam's pretty far back, so I would say I take that back. He doesn't need to be too worried here. He just needs to make sure he doesn't get caught up in any wrecks. The Hickox Racing drivers starting to fall back a little bit now. Looks like Richard Hurst, John Lynch, I thought maybe they were going to stick behind that lap traffic, and I was a little confused about it, but nope, sure enough, just like you would expect, they're going to jump right up to the second line. It's a little bit more chaotic further back as the 81 is stuck in the middle, 3 wide. And that's going to create a couple lanes of 3 wide. It's the 49 truck of Robert Dudley is going to try to stick with Alex Gray. Those 3 still working their way through the middle. They're side by side with the 22 now, but up front, gotta expect a pit stop at any time right here. Next lap or two, I gotta think these guys all come in. I'm not sure how much longer they can really go on fuel. Gotta be about ready to run out on fumes. But maybe some of these guys are somehow trying to find a way to make it on just this stop. I just don't see it being possible. And they're gonna go around yet another time. Again, if maybe here, if they can make it another, if they can make another 3 laps, maybe they surprise me, or maybe they can make it on 1 stop. But we noted in your race info that it's only 70% fuel. Daytona is a little bit shorter than Talladega. You can save running in the draft, but still don't think you can save that much. Let's go back here and see if we can hear Joey or anybody saving a little bit, especially the guys have been leading this race, not pitting yet, surprises me because you're going to burn a lot more fuel leading the race. But yeah, here's a ride on board with Joey. You hear him burping the throttle a little bit. Just trying to make any extra fuel mileage he can. Still no pit stops yet. The 90 stays out yet another lap. Notice how John Lynch's wheel, he's got the offset a little bit to the left. Some guys like that, some guys don't. I personally was never a fan of it. I like the idea of the wheel being straight, but it usually lets you turn the wheel a little bit less when you have the offset. Kenneth Redinger, he's going to actually try to make a charge to the front here with the 17 of Treston Fortson. Just as they had all pretty much got single file, now they're going to get right back to double file. Kenneth would like to get the lead before the pit stops. And we are now under 25 laps to go at Daytona. Crunch time pay window is open, as Clint Boyer likes to say. Guys are starting to feel it. But speaking of pay window, you have got to be money on this pit stop right here. If you mess it up at all, you can forget about your chances. Here we go. We're going to see the next big group. All pitting in, led by John Lynch and Richard Hurst. Do they all get in clean? So far, so good. A little bit of lockup for Matthew Fritz. No problem for him, and Guy Bracco as well. He gets it nice and clean. The one of Ronnie Morrison works his way down to his stall. Oh, my goodness. That was a close call right there for Joey Hickox and Richard Hurst. They were able to avoid contact, and they're all going to make it into their pit stops nice and clean. Doesn't look like any of them had any trouble to get in, so they should be just fine getting out. Nancy Hickox says 16 hours on the road. Robert, you're tonight's winner for endurance. Hey, you are not kidding on that side of it. I want to see how this is going to pan out here, the field-wise. Nothing yet. I was looking for if any of these other packs would catch on. Not yet. Now, Kenneth Redinger, I was going to say they're going to have to pit this time, and sure enough, they are. A couple guys still staying out, but the majority all down to pit road. And, ooh, man, the 79, James Skimmer. Oh, the 40 spun, Chase Grier. Chase Grier sideways in the pits. That's going to cost him a ton of time. More insult to injury here as he hits the pit wall a second time. And that is sometimes what you get. Here comes 3 more. Looks like James Scamordella had got in there a little hot. Don't think he necessarily made the stop. But the guy that got the worst of it here is going to be Chase Grier. Excuse me. And watch this. He's just going to get a little hot. In fact, you'll see this 79 in here. Does he get some help, though? That's the first question. There's the 79 on the outside. James just getting way too hot. Oh, he gets in the grass. That doesn't help his cause. No, Chase didn't even have a truck around. And, ooh, he may have been getting in a little too hot. Not sure if he had some wheel hop, locked up the brakes, or just downshifted a little. Let's take a listen. Oh, yeah, he's getting some bad wheel hop there. May have downshifted with a little bit too much speed still. And, yeah, that wheel hop is going to cost him big time as he spins it out. Loses any time that he could have made on pit road, and now he's going to lose the pack. He will need a caution. Kenneth Redinger came out leading the way. He's got his teammate Justin Parham with him. The 7 of Grant Turner up with these top 3 right now. Albert Hewins, Mark Beverly, and there is the rest of the big pack that is forming up. And I got to be honest, I think fuel is going to be really, really, really close right here. I'm not sure on whether or not these guys can make it all the way, to be completely honest. But who is going to save if you're leading? I don't see any way you can make it all the way. But we went, we probably went about 20 laps on the last stop. So I still think we might see a pit stop. It's just a matter of, do we see it earlier or do we see it later? Do these guys try to run it out? I wouldn't expect anybody to take tires on this final pit stop. And if we get a caution at any point, I would say 2 laps from now forward, that everybody will come down and pit just to make sure they're good on fuel. And that will be the final stop. Justin Parham still has some damage to the back of his truck, but not affecting him at all so far. These two have had a decent run a couple times tonight. Kenneth Redinger has been up in the front more than once. Justin Parham has been pushing his teammate. But Matthew Dyer, we haven't heard too much from him. Finds himself in this lead pack just silently and slowly working his way up to the front. Sits on the outside behind Joey Hickox. He had a great season last season, especially in the playoffs. Was really good, especially at the 2-mile D-shaped ovals. You would kind of expect that to translate over here to the super speedways. But had a rough start to the race. I think he missed the start. Technical difficulty something. Found himself half a track back, got a caution, and since then he's just been slowly fighting to get to the front. Albert Hewins had a good pit stop, so he finds himself leading the outside. And that pack caught up pretty quick to your leaders. And they're trying to make a run around on the outside. Joey Hickox pushing his teammate. Thought about if maybe Justin Parham would think about jumping to the top. He doesn't. He's going to stay loyal to his teammate. 20 laps to go here at Daytona. Time is starting to run out. But again, it still puts you on the fence just as you think time's running out. And these guys normally would be focusing on racing as hard as they can to the finish. I'd start to wonder about, is there another pit stop on tap or not? Coming up on a lap truck that looks like it's going to be James Scamordella. And we did thin the herd a little bit, if you will, shake off a couple of guys from the pack, and you can see it on your track map. We are quite broken up. The last truck in this lead pack, in fact, it looks like is going to be Guy Bracco. Blaze Richardson leading the second pack of about 5 trucks. The 22, the 5 of John Bell, the 98 of Jeff Carl. And it looks like the 03 of Keith Prince. This is a pack that's just behind. A couple of those guys not on the lead lap. The 88, the 21, drafting on an island. They're going to pick up Trace Greer. That's 2 teammates there, Zach Stevens and Chase Greer. The 4 of Russ Kilgore by himself. Sam Boutwell in 28. He's got no help. Robert E. Morrison, Ryan Gomes. He's in one of these packs. James Scamordella currently scored as the last place truck in 33rd. Not been a great night for him. He's been involved in a couple incidents. But up front, side by side, this will potentially be the battle for the win. But if we have another pit stop, it could be the battle for the track position going into pit road for the final time. Albert Hewins has the beautiful 55 Toyota Tundra. Got the Manny Rays shout-out sponsor on the left and right side of the truck. See if we can see it here. And there it is. Manny Rays, make sure you go check them out. I believe it's ceremonial, residential, and maybe commercial landscaping. Do a heck of a job, and NOMA appreciates them for their continued support for the Truck Series. Don't forget the NOMA Super Speedway Series on Monday. Ooh, that was close. The 81, Alex Gray, had to get himself in line in quite a hurry. The 13 just in front of him. Mark Beverly, he has been in the front and the back and everywhere in between. But getting back real quick to the NOMA Super Speedway Series, they are back on Monday. Richard Hurst, of course, broadcasts that series, does a heck of a job. Some of the graphics that guy makes, easily the best in the business. You will not see any better. Make sure you either go watch the broadcast, or if you're interested in racing in it, we have the NOMA Discord down below, along with the Ghost Racing Network Discord, and of course the Ghost Racing Network merch link 17 laps to go now. Still no 3 wide. At what point are we going to see it? I'm sure we'll see it at least on the last lap, if nothing else. But there has been a lot of patience shown tonight. I cannot say enough about the fact that so far, for what we've seen here tonight, the racing quality has been phenomenal. And nonetheless, we've only seen 3 or 4 cautions, which would usually be a rarity for a 100-lap race at a track like Daytona. The first Super Speedway race I got to broadcast here at NOMA was Talladega, and I'm pretty sure that race had gotten finished under caution. I think William McKellar might have won it, but I think a lot of these guys maybe know that we only have the one girl. Oh, we're going to have some contact in the back. Hold that thought. Did anybody hold on? No, they're not. Jay Stinson hard into the outside wall. Everybody swerves to miss it. Jay slides back down. Announcer Jinx strikes again. 5th caution of the night. Falls with 16 laps to go. And we have a completely different race on our hands now. Oh boy. Let's take a look at it. Here we go. Looks like, let's go from the chopper view here to start. Let's see if we can see it from the spotter. That's the one truck of Ronnie Morrison, who's been having a heck of a night. There's got to be some contact. Ooh, there is. Does Matthew Fritz move up or does he move down? Is going to be the question right here. And you see the yellow truck, 5th row back. Yeah, it looks like Matthew Fritz moves up. A little bit of an odd move from one of the veterans here. I'm gotta assume he thought there was a hole there and that he could squeeze in. Couldn't. Gets up into the one truck of Ronnie Morrison. Ronnie tries to save it, turns it down. Hooks Joey Hickox, who takes a hard right turn to the outside wall. That's going to be a fast pair for him for sure, assuming he's got one. I think he does. And then John Lynch had got collected in this as well here. Just a little tap to the front. Richard Hurst misses it. Couldn't tell you how, but somehow he does. Nice job of avoiding it. Take a couple more views of it. Want to ride on board with Richard Hurst and then Jay Stinson. Yeah, man. Richard was just behind his teammate. I cannot tell you how he found a way to not make any contact. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. I guess that would be the best way of figuring it out. Now watch this. He's going to be right here. You see the one is in the wall. Does he start checking up? Played in slow motion first. There's the contact for Jay Stinson. John Lynch gets on the brakes real quick. And then he's going to snipe right through the gap here, just like a laser beam. And listen to the throttle. Brakes, throttle it up. Man, I cannot tell you how quick some of these guys can react. I wish we had to replay that from his driver cam. And then final view here we're going to take is on board with Jay Stinson, as he had nowhere to go. J1 Stage 2 was having a good run here in Stage 3. I got to think anybody in that lead pack probably didn't want to see the caution because it was starting to look like it wasn't going to be more than maybe a 15 truck race for the win, maybe 20, but now it's going to get a little bit more exciting that we pulled everybody back in the mix. We're going to have somebody get their lap back. It might be Robert E. Morrison. I think it was. But Albert Hewins leads the way. Joey Hickox second, Grant Turner in third, Robert Dudley in fourth, Mark Beverly fifth, Haas Beverly in 6th, Richard Hurst 7th, Alex Gray 8th, Tristan Fortson in 9th, and Kenneth Redinger rounding out your top 10. We've interviewed your other 2 driver cams tonight. The one guy that we have not interviewed yet, your 3rd driver cam, he's been having a great run, up 15 from where he started, currently sits 3rd. That is Grant Turner. Let's see if we can get a quick interview. Hey, Grant, this is Austin up at the booth. You got a copy? All right, well, let me go ahead and unmute you there. You've had a great race so far tonight. We've been seeing you up here quite a bit. You got a couple of the big teams around you, though. Hickox Racing has a couple of drivers up there. We saw Spino up there as well. What's going to be the game plan here to find yourself in victory lane?
Well, the rest of my teammates lost the pack during those green flag pit stops. and hopefully they'll be able to come back up here. But my entire plan is to try to get as many points as possible to help out the team.
Well, if it comes down to the final lap, I know we're talking about points now, but I mean, man, it's Daytona. It's the biggest race of the season. There's a lot on the line. If you have the lead that final lap, is there a thought of maybe blocking, or do you just commit to one of the lanes?
It really is determining on what's going on. I may try to block. I may just try to hold station. Sometimes, though, you may see me not in the lead until out of turn 4. Because I'm usually a pusher, not a leader.
And last question I got before I let you go is we see you down on the apron. Is there any concern about fuel for the rest of the way?
According to my fuel calc, I might actually have 2 laps of fuel to the good at this rate.
All right, and that would be all you need to go up there and try to get the win, not have to hold anything back. Hey, thanks for talking to us. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see if we see you tonight in Victory Lane and back in the booth.
Have a good one.
We're going to slide Grant back down to his team. It looks like tonight he's running with Twin Motorsports. And that is not what we had. We had him as SRM Team Hot Wheels. But there is no Team Hot Wheels, really. So unless he was an independent, unless he's alliancing with them tonight, we'll have it all sorted out by next race. And right before that interview, I noticed my mic was muted. So let me know in the chat, Nancy, or somebody that's interacting. Let me know. Hopefully I wasn't muted before that. Hopefully it was just when I was sitting there getting ready for something. Either way, you knew it was going to come down, and it was going to get crazy, and here we are. Just completed our 5th caution night, wrapping up the pace laps. Going to have 12 laps to go at Daytona. A lot of points on the line, a lot of bragging rights on the line, and a win at the biggest track in all of racing. The fastest, the best, and the most historic. Green flag is back in the air. Albert Hewins, how cool would it be if he could get his first win here tonight? 12 laps to go at Daytona. Good even start. Don't think any of these guys are too worried about fuel anymore. I think that means you got to give the belts an extra tug, and I think we are going to start to see some three-wide racing. The 49 truck, Robert Dudley, highest he's been running all night. He's trying to get to the back bumper of Joey Hickox. Screaming off of turn 2, the outside's getting a pretty good run. It's not going to be enough, though. Grant Turner, he said he prefers to be a pusher. We'll see how well he can live up to that title. But everybody's going to start to get set here. If you're the 49 truck, you got to start to play the mind games that the 7 truck of Grant Turner might be playing with you, and that is, when do you push, when do you not push? You got to save temps while at the same time trying to get your guy out in front. And in the back, everybody's still scrambling for position, trying to get as close to this front pack as possible. Looked like the 18 there of Blaze Richardson was thinking about getting 3 wide here. Thinks better, going to jump back down in line on the outside. Joey Hickox still looking for a little bit more of a push. The 12 of Haas Beverly. Justin Parham, I think he might be the fire starter that takes it 3 wide. Again, it's just all a question of when Alex Gray, he made a thought of it. You can see a couple guys continuing to peek out as they get closer and closer to the outside wall. It's almost like everybody tries to do a little bit of a pump fake. Go out there, see, does anybody want to go with you? If they do, maybe you commit to it. If you don't see anybody bite, you try to jump back down in line before it's too late. Going to be coming to 10 laps to go this time. Again, I know it's a long ways away still, but if we make it to the white flag, then this race will be official. If we don't, and of course, we could have a caution. But if we get a caution with 2 laps to go, it sends us in overtime. We only have 1 overtime tonight, and in my opinion, that makes it all the much more crucial. You have got to go for that track position now. I do not want to find myself in the middle or back of this pack at the end of this race. Too many positions to gain in too little time, but they still stay double file for now. Joey Hickox gets a good push from Robert Dudley. He now gets a nose out in front. Albert Hewins fighting back on the inside with Grant Turner. The 13 of Mark Beverly trapped. So is Richard Hurst. They've got nowhere to go unless they try to make the middle work. But even the back of this pack right now, everybody is still too wide. Looks like Jay Stinson, he might be one of those guys that tries to go through wide and make something happen. John Bell tucks back in line. Maybe a couple of these guys are expecting another caution. Either way, you can only wait so long. Nancy says, I heard the interview, you're good. Thank you, Nancy. 9 laps to go. Take a ride on the gearbox. Pushing is coming to shoving. Track temp is at the coolest it's been all night. and it's probably not going to get any cooler from this point. 77 degrees. Let's take a look at those speeds one more time here tonight. How about for your leader, Joey Hickox, as he's going to get a tandem draft all the way down the backstretch. 188, maybe just about 190 as he enters turn 3 now. Speaking of the drafting, tandem drafting is very doable here in the Truck Series, especially when the trucks are handling as good as they've been here tonight. And if you can kind of break off just a little bit, as you see on the outside lane right there, the 49 and the 3 truck, let's say this was coming to the white flag, if those two can get linked up, and the 49's got enough temps, they can maybe push away from the rest of the field just a little bit. And that's where Grant Turner on the inside is going to have to make sure he is hooked up to Albert Hewins just as well. 192 as we got down into turn 1. No 3-wide move just yet. This really has me surprised. Oh, we got one in the outside wall. This could be the big one. Here they all go. Everybody's going to try to miss it. Only a couple of them are going to. We had one truck up in the air. The 03 of Keith Prince sliding through the grass. Looks like Jay Stinson was involved in this one as well. And it was a parking lot halfway down the backstretch with 8 laps to go at Talladega. Heartbreak for Jay Stinson. He was having a great night. Went bad, and this is just going to make it worse. The hood of that 31 machine is barely hanging on. Let's go back and take a look. Well, we predicted it all night. When was the big one going to happen? I told you it was going to happen, and eventually it just kind of had to happen. Happens here with 8 laps to go. Let's see if we can take a look from the blimp cam here on exactly how this is going to start. It starts a little bit further up here. See if we can see the contact from this view. And nope, it's going to be further ahead. It's going to start with the 19 of Justin Parham. Go up to him here, back this up a little bit more. And does he just get turned here? It's certainly kind of looking like it from this view, and if he did, he is not going to be a very happy man, and you can't blame him. Take a look from the chopper cam here. 81, yeah. Alex Gray jumps to the outside. Not sure if he meant to or didn't mean to, but it doesn't matter because once he does, yeah, he hooks Justin. Nothing Justin could do here. And when he gets turned to the outside wall, watch the guys are going to start piling on into this. Matthew Dyer's in it, Blaze Richardson, Matthew Fritz, 90 of John Lynch. Looks like he might have got through down there in the grass. Jay Stinson got a pretty heavy piece of it. Take a look here from TV3. This is kind of that second half of the field. You can't really see the wreck as well. Sometimes the checkup times aren't quite as quick. Wow, Sam Boutwell, he gets some airtime on that one. All 4 tires off the ground, almost propelled up into the catch fence. Give you a couple more shots of it here. And there is Sam Boutwell getting up. Looked like he got on the hood of the 88 truck, who gets T-boned as well. And there's Randy Bonomi going to make some more contact into the outside wall. Oh, I do want to ride on board, though, here with John Lynch as he got through it all, because it was not an easy job to do. He darted down to the grass, and I think he was able to make it through. I'll tell you what, if that is not a sign that you're meant to win this race, then I don't know what is. How did he miss that? He had about 4 or 5 trucks that were right in his path, and he finds a way to wheel and deal out of it. 6 laps to go, but when we get restarted, it's going to put us at 4 or 3 to go. How cool would it be for Joey Hickox? Of course, runs in both series. Owner of Hickox Racing. I believe he's the owner. Him and Jay. But, you know, of course, the last name is Hickox, so you would assume. Either way, the point is, Joey Hickox had this team going for a long time. Series owner. How cool would it be if he could get a win here tonight in the season opener at one of the tracks that I got to assume he has got to be a big fan of. Certainly is good at him. Albert Hewins. Another one kind of would be an underdog win. Be a great way to start out the season. Maybe a turnaround breakout season, if you will. The 7 of Grant Turner. He'd like to push somebody here tonight. The 49, Robert Dudley. Shot out of a cannon late in this race. The 13, Mark Beverly. The 12 of Haas Beverly. 2 teammates finding each other late in this race. A good way to go about it. How about we see if we can get Joey up here for a quick interview? Hey, Joey, this is Austin from the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, it's going to be what looks like, let's see here, going to be a 4-lap shootout. You think you got what it takes to get the job done here at Daytona?
I don't know, man. It's a numbers game right now. I hope everything works out in my favor, but it's good to have our newest teammate to the team, Mr. Albert Hewins. He's on my outside, so told him we're going to go after it, and as long as one of us win the race, it don't much matter to me who it is.
All right, well, you got both teammates now. We know there's only one green-white checkered, but is fuel any concern here?
Oh, yeah, if there's a green-white checker, I ain't got enough fuel to make that.
All right.
I'm hoping we stay green here.
I'll tell you what, run as fast as you can. Go ahead and get the white flag. You won't have to worry about it. Hey, good luck the rest of the way, though, Joey, and we might be seeing you here in just a couple laps.
All right, man, appreciate it.
Joey, so not good to go for the overtime on fuel. That throws a wrench into a lot of these guys' strategy, and if I'm Joey, I think I am more nervous for that fuel because things tend to get pretty wild, especially when you get late cautions here at the super speedways, a track like Daytona. And if we get another caution, Joey is going to be in trouble. I think maybe his best bet, if we're going to get a caution, is let's get one right away so he can go straight into fuel saving mode. But if we go 2 laps and then get a caution just before the white flag, yeah, that's going to sting. It's going to put the 3 truck in a bad scenario here. Nancy says Daytona's the home track for Joey and John. They love this place. All right, well, Daytona, home track for me as well. So I'd certainly like to see one of the hometown fellas get the job done here tonight. So we'll see, can Hickox Racing hold off Grant Turner and Robert Dudley? Guys in the back, Richard Hurst, Tristan Fortson, Zach Stevens. Talked about how it had been a tough night. Well, guess what? He's back inside the top 10 now. Maybe he takes it 3 wide, finds a way to the front. We're about to find out. It is going to be a 4-lap dash to the finish to decide the winner of the season opener. Green flag is back in the air. Even restart for both lines. That's good news for Joey, but bad news for Albert as he only has 1 truck on his bumper right now. The 13 of Mark Beverly did not get the best restart, and it's going to take him all the way until down into turn 1 and 2 to get up to the bumper. A little bit of a breakaway here with about your top 10. Everybody's trying to sort it out in the back. We got 3 wide. Wouldn't be surprised if we had 4 wide. Not that I can see any, but these guys all trying to figure it out. They finally do. And up front, the 7 of Grant Turner now gets to the back bumper of Albert Hewins. Does he think about making a 3-wide move on one of the last laps? Everybody still has plenty of time. It's a long way around Daytona, the 2.5-mile track. And we are going to get to go around it 3 more times when we cross the stripe this time. Joey still out in front and looking nice and stout. Doesn't seem to be under too much pressure. The 49 looks very stable on his back bumper. This is where the heart rate starts to go up just a little bit. You know you're 3 laps away, and if you're Joey right now, you're saying, guys, please don't wreck. Please don't wreck. He's hoping that we can see the white flag, but he still has almost 5 miles before we're going to see it. 49's getting a little offset. Oh, man, that was a close call. Joey had to hang on. He got really, really loose there from the push. It was not a good push. It was offset. Meanwhile, Zach Stevens, he's going to jump up to the top line. This is the first time we are seeing 3 wide. Late in the going here. How long is it going to work? Nobody chooses to go with him. The inside, meanwhile, is broken up a little bit. Not sure if the 49 got a little hot. Here comes Chase Greer to assist his teammate, the 13. Oh, they're going to wreck. And can they save it? They don't. All down to the inside. Now back up the track. Justin Parham into Zach Stevens. Caution is out into overtime. We are going to go. Heartbreak for Joey Hickox. Man. Everybody trying to get it back sorted out and back on track. We were coming to take 2 laps to go, but just could not quite do it. Man, let's take a look at it. This is going to be not quite as big as the last one we saw, but where does this contact start? Could not tell. Ooh, Richard Hurst coming up. It looked like, at least from that angle, let's take a look from a different view, but at the same time, it looked like maybe the 17 and the 12 was where the initial contact started. And we're going to see if we can get a better shot here from the chopper cam. Watch the 76 of Richard Hurst. The bottom lane, 4th truck back. He's going to start to drift up a little bit here. That's Tristan Fortson in the middle, but no, Richard never makes any contact. It looks like Tristan just coming down a little bit. Not sure if he was trying to get a side draft on the 12 or what, but just gets down just a little too much. He's going to make some contact right here. Watch this. Off of 4. It's hard to say, too, if the 12 had maybe been slightly coming up. If so, it certainly was not by much. One more slow motion shot of it here, and man, it does kind of look like the 12 was starting to slowly come up a little bit. 17 I think might have been also coming down a little bit. Yeah, one coming up a bit, one coming down a bit. They make contact. Up into the wall they're going to go, and it's on from here. Look at the trucks. This one's going to collect 5, maybe a couple more, and I feel for Zach Stevens. Man, he made it through the initial part. But then when Justin Parham had been coming back up the track as part of the wreck, that was when he got collected, and then he got some insult to injury through that wreck too. He got beaten, banged around a couple times. Let's take another view or two added here, TV3. And there's the contact for Zach Stevens. Tristan Fortson's going to slide through the grass, tags John Bell before he spins around and gets T-boned as well. I think Matthew Dyer may have snuck around the outside. See if we can get one more angle of it here. Let's back this up. There we go. And there you see him coming directly at you. Everybody slides, and then one more view here. Let's ride on board with Matthew Dyer for this one, as it looked like he had snuck by on the outside. Not sure how close of a call it was for him. Let's ride on the nose. So he's towards the back of this pack. He had some breathing room, which certainly helps. Yeah, he's able to check up. They start coming back up. Sneaks by one. Checks up a little more. Hits a bumper cover. And sneaks by Tristan Fortson. Man, nice display of wreck avoidance there from Matthew Dyer. Nancy Hickox is not too happy about it in the track, and I don't blame you, Nancy. Now, Joey's still out there. He might be taking a risk here. He might really be saving, and in fact, I know he's got to be saving here, and maybe he was just throwing us off a little bit. Who knows? Maybe he is good to go, just doesn't want to give away his hand. I don't know, though. He is certainly saving heavy here. Again, only one green-white checkered here. So if they all pile up on the restart and caution flies, and you're Joey, you are going straight into fuel save mode. Albert Hewins is currently being scored as your leader, though, with Joey in second. Grant Turner in third. Robert Dudley fourth. Haas Beverly fifth. David Traylor in sixth. Chase Greer makes his way back up inside the top 10. He sits 7th. Justin Parham 8th. Matthew Fritz 9th. And Alex Gray rounding out your top 10. Hoping to see a good race come down to a great finish. We don't head to Talladega for a little ways in the season, so I always like when we do head to the super speedways. You know, we got to see a photo finish at least once this season at one of them. PC Bro says L driving. Zach Stevens says 3 green light checkers. Ooh, so I may have had some false info. Let's double check what I had. Yeah, the race info I was sent, or at least in, is it the same in NOMA announcements? It looks like, yeah, NOMA announcements, it says 1 green white checkered. We have 3. We're gonna go ahead and check this manual way real quick. And yeah, sure enough, these guys do have 3. So the race day announcement was wrong. Okay, well that would make a little bit more sense then on why Joey may have been as concerned as he was on fuel. And that's going to give these guys a little bit more of a chance, hopefully keep everybody more calm. You don't have to scramble for that track position quite as much, knowing that you have 3 tries at it instead of 1. But Joey and Albert Hewins, they've got to be hoping that we can make it to the white flag this time. If we get another caution, just going to continue to hurt the fuel situation. Again, your overtime rules, they call it green, white, checkered for a reason. We're going to take the green, followed by the white, followed by the checkered, assuming we can get all 3 in that order. However, if we get a caution on that first lap, then we will rack these boys up and try it again for 3 times until we can crown a winner, either by way of getting the white flag, in which case this race will be official. Even if they all wreck, we will get a winner by racing it back to the line, Or if we ended under caution, hoping that's not the case on that third green, white checkered. 2 laps to go. It takes him that first lap to get up to speed, and that first lap is usually pretty unorganized, at least from about the 5th row on back. So we'll see how quick everybody can get it together and get organized here tonight. You do not want to get caught sleeping if you are in one of these first few rows. And once you do get organized, I've been saying it all night. I have not seen many people trying it. I think you got to be one of the first to get to that outside line. Justin Parham, one of the guys I'm keeping my eye on that's in good position for it. Watch for the 54 as well. David Traylor, he could be the one. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. Overtime for the season opener at Daytona. Down the short chute into turn 1. Everybody is going to stay dead even. It's a dead heat, but Joey Hickox trying to get the advantage there. Still 2 by 2, bumper with a 49. Pushing the 3 truck with all he's got. Now watch for the backstretch. This is where we could see all the momentum here. They're going to stay dead even. Good job pushing by Grant Turner right now and Robert Dudley, keeping both guys dead even. Here comes the 54. Traylor and Greer, do they think about making a move? The field is really disorganized, so once everybody does catch up, there's going to be a lot of momentum. Question is all going to be who takes it where. And we're coming out of turn 4. Starter's got the flag in hand. He wants to see a photo finish, and so do we. One more time around Daytona. White flag is in the air. Now we're going to see 3 wide. Further back, it looks like it might be Zach Stevens. A lot of shuffling going around. Sure enough, it is the 21 truck of Stevens. He's trying to continue to make it work. Meanwhile, up front, still side by side between Albert Hewins and Joey Hickox. No move just yet. These boys are going to keep it nice and clean here all the way down the backstretch. No, Albert Hewins and Joey Hickox both turned into the outside wall. Big wreck as we go back up front. Everybody half of the way on back, half of the pack on back. We got one flipping. Oh, my goodness. Up front, the 7 truck. Grant Turner leading. This thing could not be over yet, but they're going to have to get lined up quick. Russ Kilgore, he's got a big draft. Oh, he's going to have the run here. What can the 7 do? Grant Turner's going to have to block. He looks to the top. Russ Kilgore's there. Now he turns him to 7s in the wall. There goes Richard Hurst, the broadcaster. He's going to win it on track 2. Richard Hurst, how about it? He wins it at Daytona. Oh, my goodness. That had to be the most chaotic last lap that I think I have seen. And I cannot tell you how long, but I got to be a little bit excited here. The fellow broadcaster, my man Richard Hurst, he gets the job done. He gets the win in the season opener. How about it? Nicely done, Richard. All right. Boy, crazy last lap, though. So before we take a look at Richard and let him celebrate, we have got to go back and break it down for you, man. Teammates tangling. The man who I thought was going to secure there, Grant Turner out of 4. Him and Russ Kilgore tangling. Crazy, crazy sequence. Let's go take a look at it here. We got to start with the white flag. Man, things look so good here out of turn 2. And just not sure where it all had went wrong. I'm going to go back here, and we're going to find out. Everything seemed clean here through 1 and 2. Now, question is, does Albert get pushed up? There definitely had to be some contact between him and teammate Joey Hickox. Yeah, it starts to look like that. Looks like Albert's... I couldn't tell from that view if he was getting pushed up or if he was drifting up. See if we can see from the chopper view or the chase cam. Here's from the chase view. It's hard to say. Chopper is not going to show us much more when they're running this close together. Although, actually, wait a minute now. Doesn't look like the 70. Yeah, the 76. Ooh, now he's going to get there. Yeah, he does get there, and he's pretty offset to the left when he gets there. So that slight shove may have just barely moved Albert Hewins up. And then, of course, once he gets into his teammate, it's on from here. Everybody is full throttle, full out. Nobody letting off. And, man, that is a big hit for Stevens, the 54. Trailer, he goes for a pretty wild flip as well. The big one on the last lap. We were expecting... I kind of expected maybe a wreck in the back. Did not expect it in the front the way it happened there. But then we're going to have a secondary wreck as we take one more look at this one. Watch David Trailer. This thing gets ugly. Trying to save it back on track. He gets absolutely clobbered in the back. Clobbered again. He probably barrel rolled 10 to 15 times right there. Now, meanwhile, up front, this is where I thought Grant Turner had it all but secured off of turn 4. Tries to make the block on Russ Kilgore. And he makes one shot at it here. That's slower. Tries to make the block. Russ says, okay, I'll go ahead and go a lane higher. And then actually it looks like, not sure if Russ was just out of room or if he got a little loose thinking he was running out of room. Looks like he clips the 7 truck. They both go up into the outside wall. Richard Hurst with the evasive maneuver. Drives through, gets the job done. Haas Beverly brings it home second. Russ Kilgore finishes 4th, and Grant Turner rounding out your top 5. Want to take one more look at this entire lap, but through the eyes of your winner, Richard Hurst, because he was about 6 rows deep, and he missed all the chaos through it. Let's take a ride on board as we go look for your top 3 for interviews. All right, back live at Daytona International Speedway. Richard Hurst got the win. We'll be talking to him shortly. We're going to start first with 3rd place finisher Kenneth Rittinger stuck his way back in. Hey, Kenneth, this is all set up for the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, an absolutely crazy finish. I mean, I think we had 2 different wrecks that collected just about all the field. You were one of the few that snuck by, and you get yourself in 3rd. Tell us about your night.
Yeah, it was a good majority of the race was good. Lost some track position there for that when I had to come down and get some fuel to finish the race, and that kind of screwed up the end of the race for me. I didn't have any control after that, so it was just all about, I knew the wrecks were going to come, just avoiding those, and I wanted to be on the inside, so I had opportunity to turn left, and sure enough, it worked out, so it was good to come home 3rd.
Well, picking up pretty much right where you left off from last season, of course, getting the championship. Almost got the win tonight, come up just a little bit short. Next place we had after the off-week, Auto Club. How you feeling for it?
Oh, pretty good. I think we're going to go there, and I think both of my teammates are strong there too, so it should be a strong showing from Grandstand. So.
All right, thanks for talking to us. But before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Shout out to my teammates and Jay and Joey for getting this league together, and hopefully it's a good season here.
Off to a good start, that's for sure. Congrats on the 3rd place finish. We'll see you not next week, but the week after.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
It's going to lead us to 2nd place finisher, Haas Beverly. Haas, you got a copy?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Good. Well, crazy ending to the race, but we saw you up front quite a bit tonight, so certainly got to feel like it was pretty deserved. But, man, tell us about that last lap. It looked pretty chaotic.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Just trying to stay out of trouble, you know what I mean? And if I hadn't got hit on the back stretch, took a little damage, I probably would have been on the melee coming to the checker flag with those other 2. So I'm kind of glad I did, laid back.
Well, next week, I want to ask you kind of the same question that we just asked 3rd place finisher Kenneth Rittinger. Next week, we head to Auto Club. Different but similar at the same time to Daytona, still the drafting aspect, but of course, tire saving and a little bit more technical come into play. How you feeling for it?
No, I like Auto Club. You definitely got to save a little tire there if you want to finish up there. So probably won't try to buzz around the front too much, just trying to save tire and see where we end up.
All right. Well, great run here tonight. Congrats on the 2nd place finish. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thanks to these admins, this league, for letting us in and for your broadcast. And like I said, this will be the first one I get to watch. So, yeah, thank you. Thanks to all people watching, and good league so far.
Glad you enjoyed it. Hey, thanks again for talking to us, and congrats on that 2nd place finish.
Thanks, Austin.
And now we are going to bring in the man, the legend, Richard Hurst. Richard, you got a copy?
I do.
All right, well, just because of how special you are in getting that win here tonight, we're going to go ahead and make sure we bring you up on the big screen. Just a moment for it. First of all, you were fast tonight. I mean, we already talked to you mid-race, and I said there was a chance we'd be talking to you again at the end of the race. First race here with Spino Racing, you get your first win, but we went on your onboard cam on that last lap, and I think we got to hear it from your point of view.
Oh man, that was crazy. So I did not think I was going to make it through the big one on the backstretch, and I went all the way down to the apron, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to hold this. Somebody's going to come and sideswipe me. I'm going to go around, and there's going to be my finish." And somehow I just made it through all that. I don't know how, by the grace of God, and then I only seen 3 trucks in front of me. I was like, oh, okay, I got a chance. And I had a pretty good speed. And I saw the 12. He was right there in front of me, and I knew I had a little bit of run. I was going to use a little bit of draft. Came out of turn number 4. I had him. And then Grant and somebody, who else was he racing? Grant had a pretty good run. They were side by side, and all of a sudden they went to the wall, and I barely squeaked by for the win. And it was unbelievable. My first win in this league. What a great day this is.
Certainly is. I'll tell you what, you would have had a hard time trying to commentate your last lap there with how crazy it was. But the other thing I want to ask you about here tonight, your teammate John Lynch, you guys did pretty good. Tell us about the teamwork and how you feeling about the new team so far.
Oh, so far I'm loving the new team. We got good communication. We know where each other's at. We're talking fuel strategy. It was really good communication. I can't, I appreciate him letting me come on board because I was pretty much a freelancer, and he works pretty well with Joey and Jay, and they're pretty big alliance. So I was like, well, I need some friends out there on the track, so let me go ahead and see if I can join up with him. And he gladly accepted me. And like I said, it's a really good team. He was cheering me on. He was telling me keep my cool. So a big shout out to him. He's a real good. He's a real good guy. I mean, I enjoy it.
Well, for a first timer, not too bad. It was only a matter of time before you got that first win. And now you can say you smoke all these boys, not only up in the booth, but out on the track. Congrats on it. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out here tonight?
Oh, we got Blue Ridge, we got Flatwoods, we got Spino, we got Manny Rays, we got the pit stall, and we got H&H Tractor Works that have come on board for our sponsors. Definitely want to give them a shout out. Want to give a shout out to NOMA TV. There's a big group of us that helped put that together. Thanks to all the viewers. I know Miss Nancy is out there. Hopefully she cheered me on a little bit. I know she's gonna vote or cheer on those other boys, but hopefully I had a little bit of cheering for her. And thank you up in the booth, Ghost Racing Network. I love hearing you in the broadcast while I'm driving, so great job tonight, and hopefully everybody will tune in to NOMA TV on Monday night for the Super Speedway series and some other series. So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button. You'll catch some good racing.
Gen 4 series, maybe heard rumored coming up. Hey, you did a great job here tonight. You're going to be doing a great job Monday night. You're going to have a little bit more confidence for next week. Well, not next week, but next time we head to Auto Club after the off week. Hey, thanks for talking to us. Congrats one more time on that win, and we will indeed see you at Auto Club.
Thank you.
Richard Hurst, your winner here tonight. That was, I got to be honest, I don't know if it's because he's a broadcaster or what, but that is probably one of the best interviews I've gotten from someone that I've interviewed, and that probably makes the top 3 list since I've started broadcasting. I always love when guys give me interviews like that. So Richard Hurst gets the win in the season opener. Haas Beverly finishes 2nd. Kenneth Rittinger 3rd with Russ Kilgore in 4th. Grant Turner 5th. Treston Fortson in 6th. Chase Grier in 7th. Guy Bracco in 8th. Justin Parham 9th. Zach Stevens 10th. Matthew Dyer finishes up in 11th. 12th is going to be John Lynch. Matthew Fritz in 13th. 14th, Billy Davison. Robert Dudley 15th. William George in 16th. 17th, Albert Hewins. Mark Beverly 18th. Keith Prince 19th. And John Bell rounding out your top 20. Alex Gray 21st. Randy Bonomi 22nd. Robert E. Morrison 23rd. Joey Hickox 24th. David Traylor 25th. Blaze Richardson 26th. Jeff Carl 27th. Christopher Bonomi 28th. Ryan Gomes 29th. Sam Boutwell 30th. James Scamordella 31st. Ronnie Morrison 32nd. And Jay Stinson, tough break for him tonight, finishing and rounding out the field in 33rd position. Well, it was a great race tonight. I certainly enjoyed it. Not too many cautions, a lot of great racing, but that last lap to put in one word, was chaotic, but nonetheless, can't say how happy I am to see Richard Hurst win. Awesome win by him. It is going to be a fun rest of the season if we see even half of what we got to see here tonight. That is it for the NOMA Truck Series here tonight. That is just about it for me on Ghost Racing Network. I hope everybody did enjoy. We will see you back, not next week, but the week after. And, of course, don't forget to tune in on Monday for the Pocono 200. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed. Nancy says, thanks, Austin. Great broadcast. A nail biter for sure. You are not kidding. Thank you for watching, Nancy. Congrats again to Spino Racing and Richard Hurst. We'll see you guys later. Have a good night.